throw. I don't know. I'm just
This
gonna.
is
I'm
this
just
is the
winging
design
this.
skills I expect from a Magic player.
I'm just winging this. Okay, we'll talk about every season's merits, and then we'll just rank them after that. How about that? Does it sound
Yeah.
good to you?
Let's just
Okay.
quickly refresh our memories as to what each season was, and if we want to give a preliminary score out
Yeah.
of 18.
Oh, you want to? Let's just
Yeah.
like talk about them first, then we'll go back
I
later.
think Littlefield. I think that the chat can chime in and make their arguments, but the ultimate
Yeah,
arbiter here is the
it's
man who is
me.
typing into the spreadsheet.
Well, us. I mean, we'll just like try
I
to come
know
to
I'm going to be
consensus.
overruled on Devastating Dreams
Um,
season because of the Saffron Olive Fandango, if I can use the word Fandango like that.
Summary. Okay, so season one. Starting off strong with season one. You started before me, so maybe
Well,
can we
I'm
just
going to tell my season one origin story, which
sure.
is
We can start with that.
somebody posted on probably Reddit. No, actually, no. I was searching on Magidex.com, a pre-Scryfall, post-Magic Cards info. Yeah, we'll give each season a name. Most of them have names, actually, so we'll just delineate them. So yeah. So I was searching on Magidex.com. You Basica, the guy who runs Magidex.com, on the first day of Penny Dreadful, for whatever reason, he slammed in Penny Dreadful support into Magidex.com. So I was searching Magidex for whatever reason because it was currently the best Magic Cards info clone, and Magic Card info started to go into that state where it didn't get updated. And I saw there was this format called Penny Dreadful, and I didn't know what it was, so I Googled it, and I read about it, and I thought, well, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because if you only have the cheap cards legal, and I also saw that Sulfuric Vortex was legal, which at the time was like a windmill slam cube pack one, pick one, in my opinion. If you wanted to win the cube, not if you wanted to have fun, obviously. And so I was just like, so commons and uncommons favors aggro and those kind of decks that they seed that for beginning players that are just like play all the commons and uncommons in the tribe or play all the red spells or whatever, those decks that are always in standard. So it's sort of favored already. Plus Sulfuric Vortex is legal. This is a joke. These kind of rubbish decks are going to get hammered by red. And so I thought, well, I'll show these people and, get my spiky thrill out of beating everybody. And I made a red deck, and I went 3-2, and I won and lost a bunch of casual games. The league had just started as like a weird, terrible spreadsheet that looked a lot like this.
It's true.
And I was like, holy shit. Meanwhile, the first 5-0 was like a Necrologia Dark Ritual deck that like had the composite golem Nim Death Mantle combo in it or something. And I was like, holy shit, this format might be more interesting than I thought. Little did I know quite how interesting it was going to be, but it was pretty great. So yeah, so I then made like Bantish and blue greenish like sort of flash and value and Mother of Runes into Rock's War Monk type nonsense. And those decks were also not particularly good and about a 50% win and whatever. And I thought, oh, I've got to, so I was kind of interested then. Anyway, so that's for me is season one. Season one is, much more interesting decks than red deck wins are as good as or better than red deck wins in this format. And that's why I started paying attention. Didn't get massively into it until season 4, but certainly was on the Discord paying attention on the subreddit and so forth. If I look at the decks for season 1, how deep do we want to go? I've told my very long origin story. If I look at the decks for season 1, I see 6 red deck wins, 5 polymorph, 5 mono black control, 4 elves, 4 storm.
I don't know if like the season decks really like are indicative of like what the season really was. It's not about like I don't think it's really about for this season. I don't think it's really about decks. It's like the way I started was that
what I'm trying to say is that there was no meta. The most played deck had 6 decks. It did have a 65% win rate, so maybe my theory that it was good wasn't so bad. But anyway, it wasn't so good that it couldn't lose like I thought.
Yeah, the way I got into it was the same thing. I played Modern like pretty heavily at that time. And I was getting really bored of it. I just wasn't like winning, it's the same when you play, especially Eternal format. Sometimes when you play the same thing over and over, you get kind of bored of it. So I was looking at Reddit at Magic TCG, one day, and I saw like this. It was like this is, I think it was like binaries. Like this is an update on our like random formats. Like what is this
Yeah,
format? I
it
was
is
reading about it.
amazing how many things Binary got exactly right with the
Yeah,
very first version of the thing. I mean, we're very lucky that
and
he
I slipped
kind of.
in. I slipped into Discord. I was just lurking for a long time, and then I was like, oh, it's not that hard to build a deck. It's like really cheap. I had like extra tickets, so it's like, why not? Cost is like not an issue for me. I didn't really care too much about the budget, like kind of like aspect of it where you could just build fun decks for really cheap. I was just looking for like a deck building excuse because I really like building decks. So, um, yeah, I got into that way. My first deck was, I believe I played Psychotog, like a Psychotog brew.
Sounds like you.
Like, because I was really interested in the fact that Duress was legal, and no one played Duress. I was like, this is a really good card. Like, cheap spells are good. So I think I went like 2 and 3 and 2 or something, and then I started building combo decks, which I never really had played much until Penny Dreadful, honestly. So I built like Dragonstorm because no one will try that either. It goes like, wait, Dark Ritual and Duress is legal. Duress like helps my combo, and Dark Ritual. I went 4-1, so that was a lot of fun. I thought I actually like did pretty well. I was like, oh, there's a lot of merit to this. There's a lot of things you could do. It's really fun. And I built a couple other items. But like I said, there was nothing that we have today. Like there was a league. Leagues were on like Google Sheets. That's how we reported our matches. It was run by someone. Like they did it every night. It's like, okay, they just tabulated everything, and it's caused so many like weird things, but no one really cared because it was really all for fun. There were no tournaments
I mean, I
yet.
remember the very first competition was 8 people agreed to meet up
Right.
on Discord at a particular time and play like a knockout. That was sometime right near the beginning.
Yeah,
I don't
and
think
like
I even played in that. I can't remember.
yeah, and like Crazy Bale
Anyway,
like
yeah,
won.
there's no name for this season other than the beginning because there was no real
Yeah,
defined meta.
it's really
I
the
mean, you
grand
can call it
opening.
composite column or red deck wins if you want. But
Like so, I have the summary of this deck is like everyone was feeling out the format. No real meta, but a lot of fun. A
I
fun.
mean, it went from nothing to a subreddit, a Discord, people actually playing, a league organized via Google Sheets, people discussing decks and whatever. Like Jax, otherwise known as Swahili, he made like Abzan Aristocrats combo with like Sigil Captain as the way that you persist creature keeps persisting in 3 colors, and it was fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and that was the hook.
I
Everyone gets
couldn't beat
hooked.
that Aristocrats deck with
Yeah.
red deck wins. I think that was probably the deck that convinced me, oh, this format is more interesting than I thought it was
Right.
going to be.
I think everyone gets hooked at some point, and I think we got hooked at season 1, so that was cool. Season 2. How can I describe season 2? Season 2 is pretty much described by like the first time we actually did gathering tournaments.
That was sweet. So somebody, was it Chaos Black Doom?
Yeah.
Talked to somebody and got us some sponsored tournaments, which I would never have thought to do. But, they knew about the PREs on Gathering already. It was also the first season we had World God of Dragon Animate Dead, which brings us full circle to the season just ending. And Reanimator was the most played deck. And we started to have, like, not a meta by any means, but, like, a few hundred decks rather than a few dozen. Did Control won the first tournament, I believe.
Yeah, like Blue Eye Control from Dragonis. Really though, like I mean, I think this is the start of like people actually like playing against each other in the sense that like now there's something to play for. Now there's like the gathering tournaments
this is also
sponsored.
when we started PennyDreadfulMagic.com because I wanted somewhere to see all the decks basically, and Caitlin, one of us mentioned it and the other one jumped on it right away, and like 2 days later there was a website and a domain and everything else. In fact, I remember talking for a very long time about what it should be called.
Right. We were still like
PennyDreadful.com wasn't available, or
right.
the TV and then whatever, but
we were still like a baby format. I mean, I don't know how many people we really had then, but the first tournament had like it was like almost one of the biggest tournaments of all time for a long time. Like even through like the first like 9 seasons. It had like
178 people played either Gathering or the League in season 2, compared to 46 playing the League in season 1. So a jump, a definite jump. Still small. I spent a very long time playing Faithless Looting Portent and Animate Dead in the same deck, despite the fact that our mana basis was the Kamigawa lands and that stupid thing that makes any color when it comes into play and then makes colorless after that. It was unpleasant. I actually dreamt about that mana base. But anyway, that's very particular.
I wasn't playing like a lot. I was trying to build decks here and there. Leagues were not like a big thing. Like we were still doing leagues. I think they were still doing like.
I could never play the tournaments, but I used to wake up and like jump on PDM and have a look what won.
We were still doing like I believe we were still doing what do you call it? We were still doing Google Sheets leagues, I think. No, did we? Or did you actually like port it over? Did we port over already?
We moved it on to PDM at some point quite early.
Yeah.
Maybe season 3. No, it would have been season 2 or season 4. So season 2 probably.
Right.
I didn't really do anything in season 3. Yeah.
It's also the first season I started doing content. Nice. I realized I remember the fun story about me making content that I started drinking and I was watching some stream. Maybe I was just thinking about Magic streams in general. This is before Arena, of course. This is way before Arena. And I was just like looking at how I don't know, bland some content was. Maybe my content's bland. Who knows? Tell me in the comments. But it's just like, wow, I think I could do this. This doesn't seem hard at all. People just talk and sometimes they're not even like entertaining. They just kind of like blindly talk.
Sending their interior monologue outward. Yeah. And they're quite boring people.
I was like, I could do that. So I built like, and I was building like, I don't know, I was just like tooting my own horn, but like my first deck, but I guess the first deck I built was Wildfire, but I didn't really want to talk about that much. But Worn Power Stone was legal then? Jeez. But I built Locket Storm. That was the first time I started like combo. I was really drawn to play combo decks. I didn't play them in other formats. But we didn't have any like Dark Rituals anymore. We had Frantic Surge and Lock It Up yesterday, so I built a Storm deck based on that, and that kind of like set me off just playing Storm decks almost all the time.
If you hadn't played Locket of Yesterdays in that deck, Locket of Yesterdays would have seen 10,000 times less play.
Yeah.
PG ever. Like it'd probably still be sitting there unplayed.
Like I think my like real strategy was just like trying to find the most unfair thing to do and do it. Like if you look at my decks, I played like Storm. I played like these. I think I made a bunch of decks for people to try. Then I played Reanimator. The first term I ever played in, I made top 8 with Reanimator, which you hate because I played Tome Scour Animate Dead. Which definitely
we argued about that a lot. We're still arguing about that now.
I mean, I definitely Tome Scour.
We'll be arguing about that in season 38.
I definitely Tome Scour Animate Deaded a Sire of Insanity and someone had to beat them. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I wasn't really playing a lot because of like my work schedule.
We were such a fledgling format and I wanted us to succeed now that I'd built this website and started paying attention, that I actually used to leave. I was working for a US company, but I was in the UK, and I actually used to leave a game open on Magic Online all day in the UK hours because it was basically all Americans playing. Still is really. Although we have our Brazilian contingent and our Japanese contingent, and that's nice, and some people in Europe. And so I used to leave a game open all day and even, get like 1 or 2 matches or something. But I didn't want people to think, oh, well, you can't play, be interested and then think, oh, but you can't get a game. So I just used to leave a game up all the time. And like every once in a while I would have to drop my work and go play Magic for 30 minutes. A terrible tragedy, obviously.
When did we start adding more tournaments? Was it season 3 or 4? I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember the dates.
3, I
think. 3. Okay, 3. Then, we'll just move on to 3 now. So, in season 2, we only had like 1 tournament. It was every Thursday. It's Painting Shuffle Thursdays, really. Gathering was mostly run through. There was mostly like a Pauper and like other like casual formats like Heirloom and whatnot. They did like Modern Legacy tournaments too, but Painting Shuffle wasn't a new thing. And then someone else, I can't remember his name. I can't remember their name. Someone else decided to have another sponsored tournament from another website. It was like Mana Traders.
Penny Paradise.
Yeah, Penny Paradise, which was, I want to say it started Wednesdays and then moved to Mondays. So,
I mean, the Heirloom you mentioned there is another PRE. The Heirloom is the reason why the Saturday and Sundays tournaments start at 10:30 and not on the hour, which is kind of easier to remember, because we wanted to be staggered from Heirloom.
I don't know how to
Not starting at the exact same time, even though we did cannibalize their entire player base in short order.
2 times the tournament. I don't know how to I don't know how to really phrase this either. I guess we really haven't talked about like decks at this point is added. I guess we really haven't talked about decks even in season 2, but
season 3 had a red deck wins with Shrine of Burning Rage with a 60% win rate that won 12 tournaments, and in those days there was only 2 tournaments a week, so 12 was even more than it sounds like. And then there was a Storm deck that won 3 tournaments, probably all you. And then like the next most played deck was like Abzan Midrange.
Sorry,
Demonic Rising was a big thing as well. A lot of Demonic Rising. Why were people playing Abzan Midrange? For Utter End and Fleece Mainline. I don't really understand this deck, but apparently it was good.
Yeah, I think like I guess when you add like twice the tournaments, like more competitive things happen. I guess the most notable thing the most notable thing in this season that Mind's Desire was legal, as well as Cabal Ritual. For me, at least.
The Storm was really good, and the red was insane because it had Shrine of Burning Rage is you've stabilized and you've killed everything and you've gained 4 life, but you know you're still dead, aren't you? Because this does 17. That card is like borderline modern playable in Burn or whatever.
Like, yeah, it was really a red deck versus like combo season, wasn't it? It was really. Let me look at this. Let me look at winning. Sort by wins. Like red deck won like 12 tournaments. It was actually insane.
Yeah, it was dominant, and everyone was sick of it. I remember.
Yeah, it was really bad because if you weren't like red deck winnings, you're probably getting comboed. I guess not really because Storm. No one really liked playing Storm.
The first season was moaning, and the moaning was primarily about Shrine of Burning Rage, the beginning of a long tradition.
Yeah, actually, it's not even really indicative of the season. We'll just call it like Red Deck Rises, because it really was like. Then we started realizing, wait, people were just kind of like.
I think
because of like
Shrine of Burning Rage, right?
Yeah,
I think it's worth saying. Like,
I think it's
just, to me, it's just Shrine of Burning Rage plus Mind's Desire.
I guess thinking about like why that happened, and now that I'm looking back, it's probably because the second tournament was added. So obviously, if you're unfamiliar with tournaments, if you're watching on YouTube, is that all the tournaments are free to enter and you get like free tickets. So this brings out a lot of people that are just scraping for prizes here and there. So I guess when you bring this competitive like nature into a casual format, then you're going to try to play the best deck. And Red Deck Wins was the best deck because of just like hyper efficient spells. I don't know what it would even had other than like Shrine of Burning Rage was like one of the best cards probably in the deck. I think it had like Chain Lightning, didn't it? Does this deck not have Chain Lightning?
No.
Chain
Lightning came later.
But yeah, it just had like efficient spells on curve. Stormcook Noble, Ash Zealot.
Cacklers and Shrine of Burning Rages and burn spells, Incinerates or whatever. It was good. If that had been the first season, I might have made a Red Deck Wins deck, beaten everybody, and thought, oh, this format is pointless.
Right.
Good thing it wasn't.
And this was actually one of the few times we actually had like a tournament of champions where Red Deck actually beat Storm in the finals. Bartamos lost to a math guy through one math guy pie or whatever you want to call.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It's in the title. It says on the title what I'm talking to. But yeah, I mean, Red Deck was like the undisputed king, and people were just getting sick of it. So much so that they tried to buy a billion like Shrine of Burning Rages, and then actually
Shrine of Burning Rage is the first intentional buyout and shady practice in Penny Dreadful history.
It actually worked too.
That's
really
one of the 2 times it actually worked, or maybe 1 time.
Yeah, but I think it's really maybe not even season 2, but season 3 was like when really people started to think like, okay, we have to beat the red deck, and then everyone's building around it. So people are actually like thinking about how to build decks versus just like playing whatever you felt like in seasons 1 and maybe 2. All right, let's go to season 4. And I also won my first tournament in season 3. I won because I helped build.
Season 4 is massive for me for that same reason. I won 5 tournaments, mostly playing mono black aristocrats, and suddenly, like, having been paying attention and trying to build decks all this time to some extent, suddenly my decks were actually good. I made a mono black aristocrats with him, and won the first tournament I played, and I was like hooked. I was in the US, so I hadn't played tournaments up until this, but I was in the US for most or some or part of season 4, and I was just like sitting in Lampwork lofts in Oakland, crushing tournaments with and then it was very much a rivalry between Littlefield and I. Littlefield played Mono White Heroic expertly, and we had a bit of an arms race. I used to bring in three or four Desecration Demon out of the board to try and block her things, and obviously they have the protection spells, and I had him and Cry of Contrition, so I probably sided some amount of that out, but it was a whole game there. I think she probably started sideboarding White Knight as well, and had a little arms race over the course of that season. It was great fun.
Do we add more tournaments here at this point? I don't remember anymore. I don't know how many tournaments.
At some point, we spoke to Card Hoarder. Penny Paradise stopped doing their thing, and we spoke to Card Hoarder, and they said they'd do it. And we asked them if they could add another one, and they said okay. And I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but I really wanted to get ones that were timed for Europe because I had just been in Europe, unable to play, and deeply sad about this fact.
Yeah, because I think we have Sunday tournament. We have Sunday tournaments now, so I guess we can say like Europe.
I don't know what happened first, but I mean, I was probably. I'm not sure if I knew I was going back to the UK then or what. I mean, my travels are just ridiculous, but.
Definitely, Heroic was just way better than Red Deck, obviously, by this. Just looking at archetypes alone.
Oh, yeah. It was
like, Heroic was the best deck.
Was great. It had 2 Heroic 1-drops and, like, Emerge Unscathed and God's Willing. So, like, sometimes it would just make a monster that could not be killed and kill you very quickly. Aristocrats was fun. Sometimes I had to sacrifice my Carrier Thrall to make a spawn or whatever it is so I could block without, even though I had protection from black, and it was good times. Really fun. One of my favorite seasons, partly, obviously.
Well, you had a really
time
good...
my deck building was ever good in any scenario ever in the history of the world. I once played a brew at GP San Diego Modern, and I played it the day before in a last chance, get 3 buys, and I made it all the way to the final and lost to Zoo. And I was like, sweet, I'm playing my brew in the thing. It was basically, it was 4 colors, no red. And it was basically like junk splash Geist of Sintraft. It was awful. Anyway, so that was my previous highlight, was losing the 5th round of a last chance qualifier that Reed Duke was in. So to win 5 tournaments and to make good decks and
that's right. We had this
fiddle with them over this season was great.
I remember this.
Definitely the first season. That was the biggest card.
I was more focused on like deck because I still wasn't really playing a ton of tournaments, but I was more focused on just building decks for like streams and stuff. And I remember we had this like back and forth, like what's better, Mono Black Aristocrats or Orzhov Aristocrats. I guess you won the argument because you won more tournaments, but I really thought Vizier Remedies was just worth the splash if you could, kill your opponent.
This was also a season in which Temur Ascendancy with Savage Knuckleblade and Woodland Wanderer was a pretty real deck that people played a lot. Red Deck Wins was good again. Dimir Control was okay again. Oh, this was also a season in which people played a lot of Mono Black Vampires, which was basically Vampires Tribal going up to like the 4-drop 3/3 that makes other vampires, but with 4 him jammed in it and some removal spells. Rather like my Aristocrats with Cry of Contrition and him Tatorak jammed in it to be disruptive.
Yeah, this was a pretty good season, actually. I really like these.
I really enjoyed 4. I mean, it's a bit personal bias, but I think it was actually good. Like, there was multiple viable decks. People were brewing, people were playing. We had lots of tournaments. The size of the thing took a step up. We had what did we say? We said like 46 people playing leagues and things to 178.
Yeah, leagues were still not big. I don't know when we
season 3 was smaller.
We had still
actually only 168 in season 4, so it wasn't a step change. 2, 3, 4 were all about the same size. We only started getting bigger with 5, 6 numbers, and I will say that's at least partly because winning these tournaments and being interested in these decks really got me going, and me and Caitlin made a lot of. I mean, PD Bot must have come into existence around now for a start, which is the single biggest thing to make Penny Dreadful like a good format that you might actually want to play.
We would have to ask Kate like when PDBot started, but I don't really remember.
I mean,
I think it's between like
yeah.
4 and 5, somewhere between
And
four
I
and
did a ton of stuff on the website and on the bot as
yeah.
well. We had our own card search before Skyfall was a thing and all that stuff. It was great. And I think, that paid off in like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as we just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
We'll just we'll just say it happened here. Um, yeah, season 5. Season 5 is easily the Necro season.
Yeah, this was totally dominated by the one thing to do. How to do it was a whole other question. Should you, cast Approach of the Second Sun off some rituals and then draw exactly enough cards to get Approach of the Second Sun immediately back into your hand? Should you play Scourge Familiar, draw and then discard your entire deck to make black mana and kill your opponent in some combo-rific way? The conclusion I came to was that you should just play a bunch of good cards and draw more of them with Necro, and also play the rituals so you can kind of speed everything out and just play your whole hand every turn, but just like normal value creatures. And I think that was the dominant strategy. I don't know. You could argue it. It was not like we had that much results to go on.
Although, I mean, it was red deck versus Necro. I think those were like the two better decks. And like,
and towards the end of the season, people were innovating in extreme ways.
I mean, in terms of like wins, like Brimos was just going off with like this cruel deck. Actually, I think like single-handedly held up this archetype. So
with the Living Law.
Yeah, he was doing Living Lore.
Oh yeah,
he was doing the Need for Cruelty. So that's like something to talk. Honestly,
I had been Cruel Ultimatum on turn 3, 4, and 5 so many freaking times by Brian Moss. More times than I've been Cruel Ultimatum total by anybody else on any turn.
This is actually really good talking point because it was like kind of like I guess you could say like a three-headed beast of like Necro players versus Briar Moss versus Red Deck players and everything in between. Because like between the three, it's really just like mono black Necro decks versus like
we shouldn't underestimate the influence someone like Briar has on the format of just making you especially just making interesting decks that are not the three things that everyone is currently playing that are good. Like it's just awesome. It does so much for like convincing people.
So like
it's a real interesting format and just generating interest.
I think like really this, if anything, like people weren't playing like super unfair yet. Like I was playing Storm since season 2. I would try it every season. I went with season 3, like made the finals of that invitational tournament. Season 4 wasn't really a thing because Heroic was just that good, honestly. But really, I think this season. I'm
pretty sure ritualing out Necro on turn 1, drawing 7 cards, next turn making Scourge Familiar off some rituals and discarding most of your deck in your end step to kill your opponent is broken. But
like it created. I'm trying to think of like the wording, but like Dark Ritual Necro, like everyone realized how broken this format could be, given the certain circumstances. Like Dark Ritual with Necropotence. If like not a lot of people played Necropotence, not a lot of people are just like old enough or like experienced enough to.
Some people were like super angry about it and couldn't believe it wouldn't be preemptively banned, and even went on like other people's games and shouted at them if they were playing Necro and stuff. I think they thought format was going to be ruined, but it was actually a super fun season.
Would you say it was like, I don't know, you could say it was like, it definitely defines the season because it definitely like affected a lot of decks. Like if you couldn't kill someone before Necro got online, or if you just ignored Necro, you were going to lose to it.
I mean, the point at which you're playing the 3/3 that makes 2 other 3/3s in your main deck because you know you're going to get persecuted naming black on turn 2 of a ritual, and you need to have some cards left when you've lost everything. What the hell is that thing called? Precursor Golem. I mean, that was the final. That's the best deck, if you ask me. Is 8 rituals, 4 necros, 4 precursor golem, and some persecutes and whatever other cards you want.
Yeah, and that was the thing about Necro. That like it did a lot. Like you said, it did a lot of different things. You could like, you can combo someone out. You can combo someone out with like
not in mono black, even though we had terrible mana. Littlefield played white black all season.
You could like combo people with like Spellbook and Faith of the Devoted or something like that. You could just play this like silly mid-range game where you drew 7 cards every turn. I guess. Or you could just like play it complete control deck.
It turns out mid-range with rituals and draw 7 every turn is actually very good.
Yeah, I think it was just better for the field. So, which was actually interesting. Like some people, I don't know if people didn't like it. I'm not really sure because I loved it because I was just doing my own thing.
The format got significantly bigger this season, and it was even bigger the following season. So I think
Yeah.
for all of the detractors, it was generally a
Um.
success. That
So yeah, I
Metro,
mean like,
unlike some of the other power cars we've had, unlike Shrine of Burning Rage, for example.
yeah, we kept getting bigger and bigger. I don't think we had like Saturday tournaments yet, but we were running Sunday, Monday, and Thursday for sure at this point. Um, I think yeah, Monday. Let me just look real quick. Yeah, Mondays. Definitely Mondays. I only played Did I only play Mondays? Really? Sundays. Oh, this is a funny thing. This is a funny aside, but this is the first time I tried to push for like the top four, top eight cuts. Cause I was like the product of this. Like I remember because I'm just looking through my like I'm looking through my own stats and I remember building this like devoid deck and I literally like lost my first two rounds, then got a bye, then won my last round, and I made top eight, and I ended up winning the tournament. Which should never happen, I think, in any circumstance for
That's
some reason.
hilarious. Yeah,
Because we only had like, let me look.
gathering was very much a labor of love, not a
We
quality
had
piece of
13
software. There's
people,
still
so
some hangovers from that in the
th-
current code base, I'm afraid.
yeah, and that particular tournament had 13 people. Actually, be two
But our
necromanks.
pairings are perfect now.
Yeah, so like,
Literally using Edmonds's Blossom
I
algorithm to ensure their perfection.
right, I really wanted just to change because I didn't want like because we still paid out top eight to everyone, so I really pushed for that change of like hitting the 16-person barrier to make top eight. I think it's a good change. I don't
Yeah,
know,
it was a
but
good idea.
yeah, because you can't just like let people sneak in. All right, season 6, moving right along. But I like, I mean, I feel like a parent, but I liked every season so far. Like
Yeah, me too.
it
Me
keeps
too.
getting better. I think it just keeps getting better
I was really
the
sad
longer
with
we
Season
go.
3 because I really felt like a Gerard's verdict, bit of life gain, bit of value, white black would have been really good against the two good decks, like discard for storm and life gain and removal and big creatures for red. But I never really got to try it and prove myself horribly wrong. Season 6, yeah.
Yeah, it's the hypergenesis season. There's no other way of
Yeah, this
describing
was
it
also
with
really
season.
interesting in that it evolved. It was a season long evolution, and the cat wave version and the version where you sided in Simic Signet in your sideboard. You're the only person in the history of Magic to have sideboarded Simic
Yeah.
Signet, and certainly didn't want to do it and have it be correct.
Yeah, it was really crazy to have this like card come in. Hypergenesis. I think I don't know. Like so Dark Ritual Neko coming off of that season, I think by the end of it, people felt sick of it. I don't know. It was a really good like card combination, but I think people are like ready to go back to sort of like more more fun strategies, I guess. But then like Hypergenesis gets like unveiled, and then it's like, oh my god, what do we do? And like,
Yeah, I mean, people still jammed Heroic, and it was still very good, and people still
yeah,
jammed Red Deck Wins, and it was still very good.
like aggro still
There was
won out as a whole archetype. I mean, heroic being like the soul,
the fact that we had Felidar Guardian spawned a whole lot of different
right?
approaches and changes over the season. Like people were playing like green white with Parallax Wave and Felidar Guardian as an infinite combo, and
Right.
then people started playing it in blue white and a bit more like the wave decks we've seen a million times since then. I mean, I guess this was the first season with wave, was it? First season
With
where we
Feldar
kind of
Guardian,
acknowledged
yeah, it's
how
like
great it was.
it's actually
The only one with Felidar Guardian, but was it the first one when anyone even really played wave? I mean, nobody was even...
not the only one because they did it in season 8 too. We had Feldar Guardian season 8 as well. It was the first one.
Oh, did it?
Um,
Oh.
yeah,
We didn't have wave then. I
we had
got
Wave.
eight.
Oh, in
When,
season
when,
8.
no, my memory's terrible.
I
Okay.
don't remember. I mean, hold on. We have a bot that tells us everything about everything. We could just figure it out.
Well, whenever you look at the all-time charts, I
Yeah, I
haven't
mean,
actually looked
like,
for a while, but it always used to be that Hyperwave, specifically, rather than Hypergenesis, which is about 5% lower, had the highest all-time win rate or close. So it was definitely a
yeah. I
true
mean,
PvP deck and very good.
there was a lot of like
Lol.
there was a lot of like the old players. I'm writing this as the old gods if you look, because like there's you still have your red deck, you still have your heroic, you still have your like aristocrat decks, you still have your even like demonic rising won 5 tournaments here, and you still have your like easy like fun strategies. Like apparently there's another Brian was still trying to jam like Grixis decks, and he won 3 tournaments through it.
Yeah,
Like
so
he's still
I checked it. The most winningest deck of all time is Mono White Allies at 66.8, Hyperwave 65.5, Necro
Right.
Control 64.7.
I mean,
Interestingly,
I don't know.
Heart of Darkness from this season is in 4th place.
I'm really maybe I'm just like biased, but like this is my favorite, almost probably like top 3 of my favorite seasons because like it led me personally. It was the evolution of like an archetype. I've like
Yeah,
it really like pushed. I
You
really
made the first good version, and you made the ultimate
Yeah.
version. It was the best,
I made
one of the best decks we've ever had.
God. I feel so cringy writing this, but like should I write?
J Macca crushes all comers.
I don't archetype. It was just like weird. Like the first Hypergenesis builds were like bad. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna be blunt. They were just like playing. Okay, let me play a bunch of creatures and attack or something, or like blazing Archon things.
Yeah.
Like because I'm not the progenitor of this archetype. Someone else did before me because I was just like holding. I was literally just waiting. I was literally like the first. Okay, I'm looking at the very first list. It had like 4 Pathrazers, 4 Blazing Archons, like just Eldrazi things that attack. They played Hellkite, which is the smart thing to do, obviously. And then the 4 mana Cascaders. Like I was staring at Scryfall. I think I said for like 3 days,
Okay.
looking at like everything, trying to figure it out. And meanwhile, these like other like random Hypergenesis builds are coming. They're getting a little better.
It's all about where Ancients tread, Magister,
Right.
Sphinx, Hellkite. You basically always kill when you resolve Hypergenesis.
Yeah,
And then you even went and made a sideboard plan against decks where that wasn't a good plan. So
right.
it was
Like
pretty sick.
it was. I really wanted to like push the archetype in the sense that like I wanted to win the game on the spot. And what people weren't doing was like playing Magister Sphinx. Once I figured out like Magister Sphinx was a thing, and then
Magister Sphinx was 15 damage with a where Ancients tread.
Yeah.
Or more if they'd gained life.
Right.
Yeah.
And
all
like
about stacking.
a lot of the decks just started coming together when I realized like all like all the all the cascaders were like multicolored, so I played like supply demand, and then I realized, wait, Magic Sphinx is also like a
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
like
You had the cheat you could cast on turn 2, even though you couldn't play things that cost less than
yeah. So a
3
lot of it was
because
like trying to bridge the gap
that was
between
very
like
cute.
2 and like from like turn or from
There's
2 mana
something
to 4
quite
mana.
special about losing to a deck whose turn 2 players to make Mirrodin's Core and then tap it to add a counter to it.
That's a turn 1 play actually. You have to play it on turn 1 because turn 2 you can play either like Crystal Vein or another like random tap land because you wanted to make
it
like
can
colored
tap and put it on itself, can it? It can tap and put it on itself. I was thinking it was like a
No.
storage land. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that land, if you look at that land, you think it's a stone unplayable card, but
Right.
you made it good. So that's
I think
the JMecha way, really.
Yeah, I think
Making bad cards good.
once I like unloaded that deck, then people realize, wait, this is what you should this is what you probably should be doing at some point. I mean, and no one had picked up on it either. It was such the craziest part. And it's like I think it took like Back Alley played it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to like win a tournament for people to like actually catch on. People were still playing clones.
Well, Hypergenesis won 8 tournaments. Hyperwave getting 5 of them, so
right.
I think you probably won 5 at least.
I won 8
and you won
tournaments.
one before it was Hyperwave as well.
I think I gave Back Alley my list of like play this that he did because I still wasn't like I guess I was trying to play a ton of tournaments, but I think eventually people kind of caught up and we were like, okay, we have to play counter spells because what can they do? You know, they can't play spells under 4 mana.
Yeah.
You can't do this. You couldn't do that. So, and then at this time, I think at this point people realized how good like Feldar Guardian plus Parallax Wave was. Mm-hmm. So I realized, wait, I could just like if I just like shifted the entire deck, still keeping the kind of like kill you quickly, but then like if you just, and then I realized you could just loop Feldar Guardian, Parallax Wave, and Guardian Hellkite, and that's a kill too. So
Yeah.
then just adding a second combo, and then keeping a new sideboard plan where you just kind of played a mid range game with still a combo was like, I don't know, pretty like
Yeah.
for me pretty groundbreaking. I don't know.
Pretty crazy.
Like
pretty out of the box
my
thinking. It was pretty great.
my first Hyperwave list had 4 guys revenged main deck. That's how serious I was about like trying to beat control decks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And because it just fit the plan, and then that just kind of evolved into like just building the deck. And I think like after I built Hyperwave, like it was just better. People started picking that up, and then
Hyperwave was just nuts because you would do your thing in game one, for which people were, mostly not gunning in their game one, and then they would side in all their things that helped with hypergenesis, and you would say turn 2 Simic Signet, turn 3
yeah,
Parallax Wave, turn 4 Value Creature, Blink Kill, and it's just like, is this the same deck? What did you do? You put the deck books behind your back and came out with a different one.
oh my god, I still caught it on screen the first time I played the deck. I think my first victim, I'm gonna say it was Briar Moss, because I remember
this season for Briar Moss was an interesting one because
he still did well.
His devotion to Cruel Ultimatum was because he played freaking the blue-red devoid creature that makes colorless things cheaper, so that he could play signets for 1 instead of 2, so that he could get the right set of mana to hard cast Cruel Ultimatum.
No, I mean, you have to imagine that like
pile. Briar Moss decks are always a pile, and they always win in Briar Moss's hands at least. But
you have to like think about
that one was an extreme pile.
I mean, I have this on my camera, but like
35 mana source.
You have to. I wish I could see it on his side, where like game 1, I just do my Hypergenesis thing, and then game 2, I just play a Signet. I remember he just said in chat, "Oh, interesting." And he paused for like a minute, and he was just trying to process what was about to happen to him.
I'm like, it was cascading into Signets now. What?
It was actually insane, and I just like burst into laughter because I knew that I just had a monster.
Great Duke. And you still had like infinite combos in your deck, and
so
God knows what else.
So yeah, I could talk about it for like a day and a half, but I guess we have to move on. But Heroic was, like I said, Heroic was still good. Red deck was still good. Heroic was actually the most winningest deck. It had like 9 wins. So all right, 7. What is 7?
Season 7 is there's just one word for season 7, and that's zombies.
Yeah, this
right. Like this was the.
Actually, okay, yeah. This is the Ribbons. This is actually the Ribbons of Night season, isn't it? This is the Ribbon season. This is actually
the second most played deck after Red Deck Wins was zombies, and it had Lake of the Dead, like 2 really good 5-drops to actually Lake of the Dead out on turn 3, and like it was just very, very, very good. Like it just vomited its hand. It had lords that had card advantage in them, and it had Lake of the Dead to power it all out. We've kind of seen it again since, maybe even slightly better, but this was the first time it went from like random thing people are trying to second most played deck, 61.8% win rate, 12 tournaments won more than anything else, 51 top 8s, 35 O's. Like it was, we did have Smokestack for the first time, I think. Red was good again. Reanimator was okay again. People played tokens and blue-black control and blink, and we had Rofalos and Smokestack for the first time, and they got played some fair amount as well. Rofalos later to have a slightly more amazing time in the sun, but it's still.
But honestly, like I understand, like it was like zombies versus the world, but to me, this is actually just the Ribbons of Night season. Because
if you were playing the tournaments and you were, getting as far as you could before you met Ribbons of Night in an elimination round, then sure, that probably had
like look at. Wait, let me look. Just gotta look at season 7 people.
Yeah, possibly we had Smokestack before, but the only time it was ever good was in that Pollute the Planet deck that I've forgotten his name made. With Rofalos and like Jade Mage to make things to sack to your ever-growing.
He had a 75% win rate with like just Esper pile. It's like ridiculous. And I don't know if he played as much as everyone else, like in terms of like number of decks, but like when he played, he was like a favorite to win. and that to me is
Yeah,
like ridiculous.
we have our good players like Littlefield and
Like, yeah, but
and
it's
even
like
you and I to
I
some extent.
I
But
think
Rivers
that
of Night is another level
yeah,
to almost everyone we've seen, really.
like this is like
Even like
I think
Trevor.
this record probably stands still to this day. But he has probably the single season like tournament wins in 14. He won 14 tournaments.
And there was only 2 or 3 a week, so it was like most of them.
Yeah, well, no,
From
I think we had
Australia,
like
weird
at this. I mean,
times.
we had more. I think we started doing more, but it's insane. Like if you had a bet like between like him or the field, you'd just take him because he was just
Oh,
like a favorite
absolutely.
to win.
Absolutely. I was
Oh,
just
yeah,
praying in the top 8 someone else would beat him before I had to lose in the final two.
yeah. We still had Mondays, Sundays. I'm just looking at his. I don't know if he had Saturdays yet, but he always played. Yeah, he had Saturdays now. So we started Saturdays. So he probably had like the full schedule, not
We
APAC.
had World Gorge Dragon again this season, and again, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think people were still wasn't even that good. Like card drawing was still pretty bad,
Yeah, you
honestly.
had no shot selection, so you had to like jam it into your otherwise normal reanimator deck with like the second best reanimation spell costing 4 or whatever.
But yeah, this is also the season when because I just remember this season very well because this is the first season that I decided to try to do like weekly reports and try to get like the Reddit going more. And it was just me talking about Rimmons at Night every week. It was like or zombies. It was like one of those two
Yeah.
decks all the
Yep.
time. So like
Yep.
I don't know if this is a great season, but definitely like it proved to me that like they're like super strong players
I, I'm not
in
sure I
this.
love this season, but I will say that people did really love zombies. Like people were like, zombies is good, sweet. Raking of the Dead stuff out is fun, at least the
Yeah,
first time.
I mean it had Lake of the Dead. I mean I don't know they'll tell you. It was clearly the best like aggro deck.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
it
if
the
your
best?
aggro deck gets to play 5 drops on turn 3 that kill their best creature and make more zombies, people are going to be happy.
But no, this is
Not on
like
the receiving end, but
this is literally like the ribbon for me. It's a ribbon season. I know you could like as a
no,
general thing, you could
I
say it's
totally
zombie
hear you. Like
season.
if you were like the tournament spike follower only, like
Yeah,
then
I mean
you know.
he probably had like if you
Meanwhile,
just
I was
put
doing
hit.
terrible things with the Horror of the Broken Lands and Animate Dead. It's a 3/4 on turn 2. Okay, that is Tarmogoyf. Okay, and it can get bigger, so it's Tarmogoyf. Okay,
Yeah, and then your
Tarmogoyf.
opponent is playing like
Actual cards and
yeah,
omens. Yeah.
actual like they're playing like a 1 mana 2/2 and like two other lords all of a sudden on turn
Yeah,
3.
I lost 3 semifinals with 8 Goyf and 2 quarterfinals and did not win a tournament.
All right, see
I
the
did win a tournament with Jund Grenzo with like almost like splashing Bow of Nylea, even though it's double green, so that you can put whatever you want to hit with Grenzo on the bottom of the library with Bow of Nylea. But yeah, not my finest hour for decks that season. We
yeah.
can move on from my
But again,
decks
because you want to talk
quite
about season
quickly.
8, because you want to talk about season 8.
Season 8. Well, now we're talking about the third biggest, best winner of all time, for which Hyperwave is the second, right?
Yeah, I mean, you did
Devastating
really
Dreams.
well. Like, I have a different opinion, but you can start, and I'll just say my opinion because I have a way
I
different
mean,
opinion of this format.
this is the first deck I made that wasn't that was really good. That wasn't. People have done this kind of thing before in format X with this kind of card. Like when I made my Aristocrats deck, I just went through all of the Aristocrats lists in standard, all the different colored versions, and thought, like, okay, I need N sack out. I wrote down like lists of like, okay, 3 to 8 sack outlets, 4 to 9 creatures that want to die, 3 to 5 removal spell, and I just kind of fiddled within those numbers based on like Brad Nelson's deck and blah blah. Devastating Dreams was like, Nostalgic Dreams is a good card. I wonder if Devastating Dreams is a good card. Oh, I see it was in the sideboard of some Legacy Loam decks in 2004. I wonder if I can make a completely bizarre thing. 3+ toughness, red aggro with the ability to discard its hand to Armageddon and Plague Wind.
Yeah, I mean, like really, like
it was glorious. And
I
then it
think it's
was just like actual good.
this
And
is
then I made
actually
the version with Inventor's Apprentice, and it was even better.
this is I guess if we want to make like weird comparisons, this is your hyperwave. Like you took an
Yes, yeah, I
archetype.
guess so. It was not as dominant as Hyperwave,
Well,
but
I mean, like in the
it
sense
was
that
very
like
good.
you did really well with it. It was a very unique deck.
Yeah, it
And
has
you
a
evolved it.
63% win rate all time, despite coming back for a season and not being as good. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty great.
For
I
me,
won
this
one version with the non-active artifact tournament with the non-artifact version, and one with. There was a lot of other things going on in this season, though.
really, I mean,
Like Devastating Dreams was basically it was
Red Deck
kind of a
won
side
eight.
note in a way.
Right, Red Deck won 16 tournaments.
Yeah, it was. People played like Quest for Pure Flame and things this season. It was weird. Like Burnish ones and like Goblin-y ones, and there was a lot going
This
on.
was, I mean, this format to me was like one of the most boring seasons. Because like it's just like
Yeah,
everything was like
people played a lot of a bad mana Jund that was
this is like look at
55% win.
look at
People
the
played a lot of Demonic Rising. People played a lot of White
yeah.
Weenie. I think you probably made a White Weenie and won a tournament with it and caused everybody to
I
play
didn't
it.
win
Did we have?
anything. No, this is
Did
the
not?
thing is that like um how do I start with this? So like
People were playing like Odric keywords. Yeah, that deck
right
is tiresome. It's not exciting.
like I won two tournaments. I
Odric
played like
keywords versus Demonic Rising in the final. Yeah,
there really
Devastating
wasn't
Dreams was
like
definitely the highlight.
the way I see this format is like look at the seasons before that. We have like these everything's got kind of new exciting. We got red deck. Oh, here's heroic. Oh, Necro's crazy. Oh, hypergenesis. Oh,
Yeah,
who's
there's
this
not really
guy?
anything apart
Who's
from
this guy with
Devastating
his
Dreams.
Esper deck and zombies? And then like everything like fell flat after that. This season like everything just like I don't know. There's no like nothing like excited me personally because the what some of the best decks were like what 36 creature Sultai emerge decks like Devastating Dreams that kind of just killed you on turn three,
Yeah,
which was like interesting.
yeah.
And then like the best, like one of the better
Although the
performing
games
red decks.
after you resolve the dreams are often very interesting because it's not like it killed you and left itself with like immense amounts of resources. It would
Yeah,
have like a 5/5 or a 2/3 and an Apocryphite on suspend or whatever. So
but yeah, I
they're
mean, it
often
was
quite
just like
interesting eking out the wins. But yeah, that's very specific to my experience of it. I mean, I will say that this season was actually it did see a reduced amount of play from season 7, so it was not a growth season. So it's our first season not growing since season 3. So yeah, maybe it just wasn't very interesting.
to me it wasn't, but I
People
mean,
love
like
zombie.
people like that Sultai stuff. People like playing red deck. It was like it won 16 tournaments. It was like pretty good, probably because just like I think there just wasn't really good support for like I built
Mana was
combo decks.
terrible. Super
Yeah,
powerful cards to do crazy combos didn't really exist.
yeah, it was
Apart
just like
from
a
this, you
there's
count.
a really like compared to the season before, this is a really flat format.
Yeah,
Also,
there are actually
also
less league matches played in 8 than in 7. So yeah, I guess I agree with
right.
your
Also
assessment.
like
It was my little corner of it was fun, but the thing as a whole was not great.
also fun fact, this is the time that we actually first all met in real life at GT Vegas. I think it's
Yes.
2017 or 18. And then we actually pitched the format to Saffron Olive and the MTG Goldfish team, which we tried to get him to like. We actually got him to play Paper Magic. Baker and I built decks to like take to him to play. He should have played my deck, but whatever. Um, we let him play Sultai Emerge. I don't know why, but but yeah, it was a lot of
That bit
fun.
is fun if you like mid-range value, but anyway,
Yeah, but I think the result of the
not your
meeting
kind of
was that
thing.
like obviously we didn't get him to play on like some sort of like coverage or whatever. But we did get him. We did eventually get onto the website itself, so that was really cool. I think without that meeting, we don't get on the website,
Yeah,
right?
that's really big. That was really
Yeah,
big.
which was like really big. So so I'll just type that in. Gets what's the word I want to use? Meta. But yeah, I think that's like the coolest part of that season. Honestly, was getting on MTG Goldfish. All right, season
Yeah,
9.
apart from Devastating Dreams, obviously.
No, like I said,
Season.
I really like that list. I thought it was really good. I just was so frustrated to play against.
Yeah, it was.
Because
If you were on like
if
if
you
you were on
held
like mana creature into 2/2, you were not going to
yeah,
have a good time.
or if you held a counter spell, then you're just getting beat down by like 1/2s and 2/3s, and you're just holding up
Yes.
2 mana for counter spell. It's like so dumb.
Yeah, so afraid of the like killer blow that you actually die to the 2/3 for 1.
What is season 9 here? Um,
Season 9 was the most bananas sort of broad set of broken cards we'd ever had. Instead of having like one thing, Necro, Hypergenesis, we had lots of crazy things, including Demonic Consultation to go and find whatever stupid thing it is you wanted to do. We also had Recurring Nightmare. Oh, we didn't mention Recurring Nightmare in Season 4. Anyway.
It wasn't a huge player in Season 4.
Well, it was in my deck the one tournament.
I mean, yeah, I think I think obviously Season 4 was more a heroic season. I mean, it's heroic versus you, but it's like it was really heroic because heroic versus the field. But yeah, Season 9, everything ramps up again.
So we had Recurring Nightmare, Living Death, the real one. We had Demonic Consultation. We had Cloud Posts, probably for the second time, but now with Demonic Consultation to find them. So Demonic Consultation was like in every deck. We also had, just lots of things you could do with Demonic Consultation, right?
Yeah, I mean, like this card we had Consultation before, but we had it in Season 3. Season 3 was the first card. Like as someone that like built that Storm deck in Season 3 with Mind's Desire, by the way, I don't even mention that, but Red deck was just better. I would just concede that Red deck was better. I was like so afraid of playing, and I still am, of playing Consultation in my combo decks because I don't want my combo card to get destroyed. But I mean, in this season, it just finds lands. It just literally drew for lands and just like fueled all sorts of different decks.
I played it in Orzhov Aristocrats, which had a perfectly reasonable fair game and also had Vizier of Remedies, Red Cap, and Sack Outlet to just kill you, and Demonic Consultation to find whichever piece you're missing. It was insanely good. I think I won the first 3 tournaments.
Yeah,
certainly the first 2.
I did particularly well on my own. Like I played Living Death with Consultation. I ended up playing like Mono Black Aristocrats, and this is funny because we switched. Because now you're playing Orzhov, and I'm playing Mono Black. Because for me, Mono Black was you could still combo people in Mono Black. With like
you kind of could, but you had to play bad cards like Priest of.
Priest of Kicks is a free card. It's a free spell.
Priest of Kicks is a 3-mana 2/1.
It's a free spell though, and it's a creature that enables everything. Because you could loop.
I mean, for me, like the ability to Demonic Consultation for the missing land, so your mana was better, or the missing combo piece, so that you could like insta kill people. Like it was well worth the white.
I mean,
I remain convinced to this day.
Yeah, like my loop was that like if you had a Priest of Gix in your graveyard and a Priest of Gix in play, and if you had anything like either a Cutthroat or a Grim Harvest, you could either draw your deck or like infinite damage your opponent with a Recurring Nightmare, which was really the point of it. And then you had all this fair stuff to do, and then if you needed one of the pieces, you just Demonic Consultate for it. And I think I rarely missed on Consultation. Like I think
I always named Witness the End for Demonic Consultation when I was going to lose, and not Abandon Hope, because Abandon Hope was not legal that season, but Witness the End was.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. This season was kind of bonkers.
One of the things that was really fun about it was just literally compiling the list of all the things PDBot had seen people Demonic Consultation for in order.
That was really funny.
That was really fun. This was just a great season.
I also built
when Jesus started playing,
and I started playing the Yosei Vat deck. That was really fun. I won like
there were a ton of really great decks. This was kind of a high watermark for a long time, I think.
Yeah, I think it kind of revitalized the format a little bit. Like going into Season 8, everything was
it was our biggest season until when did we recover from Season 10? So our biggest season by a distinct number of people until 742.
I don't know.
So until Season 17. So
lots of popular. What's why I want to praise? Lots of popular archetypes. Brought in new people.
Yeah, it was our biggest season until like COVID and Caleb Gannon gave us a boost. And that's partly because of Season 10 and partly because of Season 14, which I suppose we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, Season 10 is where everything goes downhill again.
So Season 10, whatever it started as or whatever, it ended up being just this pincer movement with a really great, always turn 4 Tempered Steel deck on one side, and a masses of redundant pieces turn 2 or 3 graveyard combo deck on the other side with Cephalid Illusionist and Shuko or Hermit Druid. And basically, you kind of chose which one you wanted to lose to. It was very difficult. Like, spot removal wasn't even particularly good against Tempest Steel because it was kind of a go-wide deck and it had creatures that couldn't die at sorcery speed and tokens and lands that turned into tokens that were 3/3 flyers because of Tempest Steel or 5/5 flyers because of 2 Tempest Steels. So it was difficult. And also, yeah, Graveyard Hate was kind of at an all-time low. Was this the season where we
didn't have
took the really bad old school Graveyard Hate to about $1?
Yeah, so we didn't have like
Phyrexian Furnace or something.
We didn't have cards that like nuked entire graveyards. We only had like
it was just like a bad Scrabbling Clause.
We had actual Scrabbling Claws. We didn't have Phyrexian Furnace actually. We didn't.
That's a different season. There was a season when Phyrexian Furnace was the best hate card.
But yeah, it was literally like a perfect storm of like bad.
So all you had to do
we didn't Burst Lightning.
To beat Scrabbling Claws was put two of the kill spell in somewhere in your library.
We didn't have Burst Lightning. That's insane. We didn't have like Burst Lightning as a card.
I played a deck with 4 main deck Electrostatic Bolt on the basis that it killed all of the best things in Tempest Steel and also Druid and also Illusionist. I mean, that card, if you're playing against a deck that isn't one of those 2 decks, is a pile of nonsense. It's a shock that can only hit creatures. But
yeah, the breakfast strategy, like, you're right. It was like, what do you want to do today?
Watchers of the Dead season. That's right. People main deck Watchers of the Dead in their aggro decks.
And that's great.
And in Tempest Steel.
That's actually great because like it does show like innovation through like the darkest of times.
It's good that people found something just utterly garbage, unplayable in draft.
Like, look, Tempered Steel won 26 tournaments. Like Cephalid decks won like 17. I mean, there really wasn't like there was a big drop off.
The number of players dropped and didn't recover for 2 years, 7 seasons.
Yeah, because it's really like, I mean, we take.
I hated this season.
We take the season as it is. We don't do bans. We don't try to manipulate the form in any way. So we take it as it is, and sometimes this just happens. This is like sometimes you just
all those games where you're like, well, if they don't have Tempered Steel, I might. Oh, they've got.
No, they have Tempered Steel, or they cerams extra teeth in the Tempered Steel. I was like, oh, okay. Yes, like you wipe their board or something.
Yeah, they put 9 power on the board next turn.
Like we didn't even have like board
wipes. Or the friggin' hasty vehicle that doesn't need to be crewed the first time. We just like come in for the last 7 with trample,
like
5 toughness.
It was just a weird like. It was just a weird.
There was no fracturing gust, no
one. And we were still doing 1 cent. We were still doing 1 cent rotations. Things just happen. Yeah. Like sometimes you just you get
season 10
caught up.
Yeah, maybe not the most oppressive season because there's one other candidate, but definitely my least favorite season. You can put that down as number 18.
Yeah, the next best deck was a control deck. A control deck won 11 tournaments. I don't know what control really means in this, but I guess they're like some people say Sultai.
He makes quite a good point. You could fight Steel with Urza's Ruinous Blast by playing a bunch of really terrible white legends, and then just like steal the game after doing some blocking. By getting rid of everything, including their vehicles, including their Greenhawk idols, including their steals.
But you have to live till turn.
I mean, I don't want to be on 5 mana sorceries against Cephalid Illusionist, and so
you had to live till turn like 5 to even cast that thing.
We lived till turn 5 by blocking with your 2/2 first striking lifelinker for 3 that's legendary or whatever, right? yeah, it's an approach certainly. I don't know if it was the answer. But...
I had a terrible time trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Season 11.
None of my decks worked. I played like Rakdos good stuff with Electrostatic Bolt. It was depressing. It was not good.
I guess season 11.
I did play Peregrine Drake. I did win 2 tournaments with Peregrine Drake and Court Hussar. We have to do all the triggers with Court Hussar's is going to die for coming back into play without white mana being spent on the stack as you draw your whole deck. Don't let that resolve, as you won't be able to draw your whole deck anyway. But that was fun.
Season 11 is like kind of like a back to normal sort of season.
Which had okay mana in season 10, right? We had like Shadowlands and stuff. It was maybe our best mana season ever at that point. It was kind of specific to blue black and red black.
Yeah, it was. We had the We had the
Oh wait, no, this is 11. This is
Shadowlands.
11. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
getting mixed up. Not
No,
10.
no, we had
This
the
is 11.
Shadowlands.
I've moved on.
Yeah, we're on 11. So we had like Choke Estuary,
Yeah,
Sunken Hollow, and we also had
yeah.
we had like Creature Lands, right? I'm just looking.
Peregrine Drake and not Ghostly Flicker, but the worst one, Displace. That was fun. What won everything?
Well, White Weenie was really good.
Oh, White Weenie was insane. Was this the first time we had Brave the Elements?
No, I
Probably.
think so. It was just like I think it was just got back to normal sort of season where like aggro decks like rose back up. Other than Temper Seal, like um, I don't know how to really phrase this season.
People were playing the Spellweaver Helix Cruel Ultimatum deck a lot.
Yeah.
There was Jack's Swahili's Hazaret Storm deck, which had no mana lands that made black mana in the main deck and could only cast Tendrils of Agony if it resolved a Pirate's Pillage first. But it was actually good somehow. Was it good? I don't know.
What's this Choke Estuary from? I don't know. Are they called Shadowlands? I don't know.
Yeah,
how
Shadows
people...
of Innistrad. So I guess they had been in Standard when Penny Dreadful started, and they had now rotated out of Standard and dropped down low enough for us to snag them. Yeah, some Cruel Ultimatum combos, some bad Storm, a lot of White Weenie. White Weenie won more tournaments than Red Deck wins, 13-10. So pretty real. You could Peregrine Drake a little. People played, some of the usual suspects. Yeah, it kind of was a bit of a return to normalcy. Aggro is king, but there's the odd combo deck and the odd control deck. And
I mean, I played some fun decks. I mean,
this played a lot of like Simic and Teamer madness in this season for whatever reason. I don't know if it was good or not. 1-3 tournaments, maybe Crazy Balos first foreys into
It was a return to normal.
First foreys into.
I know you love
this is Crazy Balos.
Oh, I did. This is when I built the Recoup deck. You know you love that Recoup deck.
This thing is that deck is one of the reads like a pile on paper so badly.
So good. This deck was so good.
It won. It did win things.
I didn't win anything.
How.
I mean, I just like lost to White Weenie basically. It was good against everything else except White Weenie, which to me is not a good deck, but it was a lot of fun to build.
It was sick actually. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought, "What is he doing?" And then you were like, just outvaluing everyone. What the hell were you doing? You were killing with Hammer of Bogarden, like it was,
No, I usually kill people. I usually kill people with like I would acquisition for like a Sorin's Vengeance usually. Because I would like flip an amulet and try to kill you that way.
I'd use a 4 mana tutor to get a 96 mana spell and then cast Recoup on it. And
yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I played Repaying Kind because people were playing that Volcanion deck. And I had to find a way to reset their life total in Red and Black. And I found Repaying Kind, and it was the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah, I think 11 was a fine season without being exciting. Like it doesn't have a standout story to tell. Like it was just like as normal.
It was fun. It's fun to get back to like the really terrible sort of like breakfast versus steel meta, like two titans going at it.
Anything was an improvement from 10. 10 is the nut low, although some people would argue otherwise. But
if you're. And then 12 was like the same thing. I think honestly, it's just
although 12 was the season. Is this the first season when Ribbons put Nevermaker and Parallax Wave in a deck? Surely it was before now.
No, we did that. They did that. They started at season 7. Honestly.
Well, this was the season in which Ribbons played Parallax Wave and Nevermaker in a deck. Between Ribbons and Brian Moss, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tournament wins with Nevermaker Parallax Wave. So it was definitely a big feature of this season. Only sort of heroic and red deck wins were, one more. So definitely a wave season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess to some extent, like you say, that's kind of normal PD. I'm not sure how normal PD Parallax Wave with Nevermaker was in those days. It's probably like the first or second season people were already doing that. But yeah, I guess nowadays that feels very normal because it's happened.
I think people understand how good it was. I think everyone just thought like Ribbons was good. with it, and then people realized how good it was, and then they just started picking up on it more and more.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of trying to beat them, instead of trying to beat him, they just joined him. Well, it was mostly Briar Moss. I don't know if he was like,
Yeah, but when Brian Moss admits defeat and joins in, then your deck is probably pretty damn
yeah.
good, to be honest.
I really don't know how to describe the season. It was just normal. There's like things were coming back, so like now you're kind of getting to the point where things are kind of like cyclical. Where like I said,
Okay.
like back in season like 7, we had the same
Yeah.
thing. Now you're
Well,
doing it again.
Season 7 was the big wave season, and it was
Right.
also present with Nevermaker in season
And-
9 and played a lot,
But you
and
s-
season 11 to some extent, although it
Yeah.
got played less for whatever reason. So it wasn't really wave season, I guess. It was just another wave season, but it happened to be played by Ribbons and Briar and win 7 tournaments. Siege Rhino was in, but Siege Rhino was bad.
Yeah, I mean there weren't
Right?
like many Siege
Siege
Rhino
Rhino was
winners.
Siege Rhino was actively bad. Like it wasn't just, I don't know, okay or whatever, but like not as big as you'd expect. It was like bad. It had a 50.3% win rate, which, as we all know, is not a good win rate, even though it sounds to the uneducated ear perhaps like it's okay. Like good starts at 55, and really good only really starts at 60.
I don't know if it calls the
Siege Rhino
wave season. Just like more
which
of
is
like
bad. Partly bad because you had to play Temple of Silence and a lot of forests and hope for the best to even cast the thing. But
yeah, but
Land of Wastes was in. That was like the most notable card of season 12, really. Dig Through Time was in, but it wasn't very good because we didn't have fetch lands. So
Upheaval. This was the first Upheaval season.
It was another post season, but I don't think it was dominating or even good necessarily. People played a lot of it.
But yeah, I mean, if you look at the tournament wins again,
yeah, 52% win for Cloud Post, not a good post.
Heroic and Red deck like split each 10 wins. Then the Wavelink deck has like 7. Wait, 9 combo?
Yeah.
What is the combo deck here? Let me look real quick. I guess combo won 9 tournaments total, but
well, Rule of Law was one of the most played cards of the season. So I assume
people running Hermit Druid.
Okay, just playing it without Cephalid Illusionist and hoping for the best.
Briar Moss randomly won with New Perspectives. That was a deck.
Yeah,
so Reanimator here, Jeskai Ascendancy.
We had Ether Hub this season. Like that was probably Ether Hub and Llanowar Wastes were the most interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's continually of good mana.
Crazy Bill says he feels like no decks have 60% win rates. I can tell you that almost every season we've looked at so far, Red Deck wins had a 60% win rate.
Yeah. Why is my wait? What? Why is Cinder combo? Why is Metal Colossus a combo deck? How does that work?
Metal Colossus is a combo because you pay a 10/10 for 0 mana.
Okay.
But I agree that it's probably more strong synergy.
It's probably like a ramp deck, really. Let's see. But yeah, it was really like
Littlefield says Presence of Gone was a big player in this season.
Yeah, it won 9 tournaments.
43 decks had 62.7% win rate, so yeah, it's pretty good.
It was really just a balanced season, really.
Yeah. The thing about it is, in retrospect, it doesn't have anything that wasn't in at least one other season, I guess. Like Ether Hub, maybe, is the one thing.
I think that's why I labeled it more the same, because it was just like.
But yeah, Hermit Gone was a good little innovation. It was on the tail end of the season and only played 24 times, but it did have an extremely good win rate. I think we'll. I don't play Red Deck Wins exclusively because I know that it is not the best deck usually, and I know that you can make decks that beat it, but people often don't. And so it is my mission to create some of those decks so that they are options for people that don't brew, so that we don't have a format that's just Red Deck Wins, which this could easily be if everybody just did the most obvious thing to do every season. But as we know from, World Gorge Dragon this season, it is almost never the best deck when you really get into it. Anyway, that's my answer, even though Red Deck Wins is very good. And I did play Red Deck Wins, for example, in the first Penny Dreadful 500, so I'm not completely above it if I think it's the right thing to do. Season 13.
Back with zombies, like zombies again. It was another zombie season.
Like Lake of the Dead came back. The zombie cards were still legal. It was great. Red Deck Wins was good. 57.7 if you're counting. Zombies was 61.9 if you're talking about whether you crack 60% or not. Blink was 60.9. Mardu Allies 64. Mindcrank 66. So yeah, they do crack 60%. This was a really interesting season in that Mindcrank was the most heavily played deck with the highest win rate of 66.4%. And it had a losing record against aggro, which seems almost impossible in the Red Deck Wins Zombies format for both of those things to be true. But Mindcrank crushed everything that wasn't an aggro deck so hard that it could afford a 48% matchup against aggro. Interesting, really interesting. Only won 3 tournaments, probably because it had to play aggro decks in the top 8. Top 8 at 22, which I guess is just par. But anyway, so yeah. I guess Mindcrank is like enough of a thing to mention in the summary, I would say.
Yeah, like I think this was the first time this was legal, right?
Yes, yeah, it was the first time anyone jammed. We had both together, and it was good. It was really good. It had like an insane win rate. It's played over 100 times, won 3 tournaments. Like it has an actual claim to be the best deck of the season. I don't know how with a sub 50% win rate against aggro, but
I wouldn't call it the best season or deck when like zombies were just better. It was more represented, but it was also just better.
I mean, Mindcrank had a higher win rate by a clear 4.5%. Like,
wait, let's look. Look, we have this handy dandy.
That's a big gap.
Matchup calculator. Like it was good because it was new and no one knew what to do against it at first.
Yeah, people misplay against Mindcrank all the time. They've been misplaying against me with it all season. Although in the tournament today, I misplayed with it because I forgot that Drive Militant was gonna.
It had a losing record. Like if you want to go by your metric, it had a losing record against zombies, so therefore I like zombies better.
Yeah, it had a losing record against aggro as a whole, let alone the good aggro decks. It was a really strange scenario, and perhaps if the season had gone on longer, it would have kind of reverted to some kind of sense.
I don't know how to define this.
Marduk Allies was also like a really standout deck this season. Had a really high win rate, just jamming like the haste granting one, and the had a free blade was legal for the first time probably.
Oh yeah,
and you just kind of jammed it all with like tri-lands and vivids, and it was all a bit of a mess.
This wasn't the first time. I don't think this was the first time. It was before.
For Freeblade came late. Like people played Allies a lot before there was ever a Freeblade.
Freeblade came like 12. Freeblade was actually the season before, I think. I think you're thinking about the season before. I think. I want to.
Maybe.
Let me look. Freeblade. 10 was the first season, but then we don't talk about 10. Yeah. 10, there's nothing that you can't just play a random ally and expect to win in 10.
Yeah.
But I agree. It didn't start picking up steam till like 12, 13.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, Modern Allies just stands out as like having a very high win rate and being played like dozens of times, if not enormous.
It was really just one person that was really good with it. That won a lot. But yeah, you're right. It did like give people other options to like do.
Yeah, I guess like this. If you're telling the story of this season, I would emphasize Mindcrank. But yes, in reality, Red Deck Wins and Zombies butted heads a lot in a way that's like kind of.
If you look at all these other seasons, like there was no really new decks. I guess maybe 12 had like Hermangond, but like I guess I could write that over there.
Like Sunstrike, we had Presence of Gone type combos, but it wasn't until one of these seasons that we got Sunstrike Legionnaire and Midnight Guard and Elemental Mastery and Presence of Gone. So you've got 8 of each piece, and all the mulliganing gets a lot easier. Honestly, mulliganing to an 8 of is not that great, but it's not the end of the world, like mulliganing to a 4 of.
Like I think like between like 11 and 13, all these seasons get like muddled to me a bit because they're kind of like mostly the same things.
We're quite a lot of seasons in now. It's not surprising that
some
things do reoccur.
In terms of like, because now at this point you're seeing things that history is just kind of repeating itself. Because like from like
now you can say like, have we got zombies this season?
Right.
Have we got blue green manas? Well, we always have blue.
Like 2 to 7, everything is like new, right? And then
what are the Red Deck Wins cards rather than like is Red Deck Wins good? But at some point, the landscape changed a bit because Pauper took the Gonabrand Trailblazer from us roundabout now.
Right.
So Heroic, which had been like a really good championed by Littlefield but played by everyone from season 4 through to roughly now, fell off, and that changed things quite a bit. I mean,
now we can talk about the second dip of our life, Season 14.
So season 14, Tempered Steel returned, and instead of having a 65% win rate, had a 53% win rate because you died on turn 2 every game. Yeah, channel, and also like probably making it even worse than it ever could have been. No Duress and Rothlos came back. So you had a backup channel, not quite as good, but you could still make 6 drops on turn 3 with Rothlos. So you just died. Like the ultimate trick here was channel out a God Pharaoh statue. Okay, opponent can no longer interact. Channel out a Soul Conduit, drop your life total to 1, exchange life totals with your opponent, pass the turn, end step, God Pharaoh statue triggers and does the last 1 damage to your opponent. And they didn't always have exactly that, and it wasn't even necessarily correct to play exactly that. But they would make an Eldrazi on turn 3 or turn 4, or turn 2, and that was their like bad case scenario. And people tried to beat it with a lot of different things and totally failed. And then BivC tried mono black aggro with like somewhere in the 75 Mesmeric Fiend and Spectre Shriek, and also Dark Ritual. And so Spectre Shriek let you interact on turn 1, and Dark Ritual into Mesmeric Fiend let you interact on turn 1. Even on the draw, you could take away the channel or the Rothlos. You could play some removals. You could kill the Rothlos, and like he kind of solved it, right? Like the deck was fine against everybody else. You vomit out your 2/2s for 2. You maybe disrupt their hand a little bit, and you attack them until they're dead. And it was, above 50% against the field. And it also was very good against Channel. So much so that by the end of the season, Channel had about 6 or 7 pro-black creatures in the sideboard to like just play some great Sable Stags when all of their plan had been disrupted. And there was a bunch of 2/2s facing them down. But I don't think that was even good enough. So we did eventually find a deck that beat it about a month or a few weeks from the end. But sadly, it was still probably correct to play Channel. Like, unless everyone else in the world was playing mono-black aggro, you should just play Channel because you get so many free wins by winning the game on turn 2 for casting 1 spell.
Yeah, it was just kind of ridiculous. If people don't know what the channel loops were, it was basically like you play 2 4s, you played a channel, and then you can use a soul conduit to take your life total to 1 and switch your life total. You switch your opponent's life total with yours, so you go to 1 and you take their life. They're probably at 20, and then you play something. Now you have 19 more mana with channel, or 20 more mana. Then you can play anything like God Pharaoh statue. You could just play a bunch of like Eldrazi to kill them or something like that.
I think the real number that we want to talk about here is tournament wins. Channel.
It won 31, like 30, 31.
31.
Also, I mean, I don't even know if you can even say that the mono black deck was good against it. It's still, I guess, like it was one of the better decks. Like red deck did its best. Actually,
it was strongly favored. I played it enough times. Like the stats say it was,
but that's not really obviously that's not really a fun meta where it's like the channel deck or the anti-channel deck. That's not like fun at all.
And honestly, like it wasn't 100% against channel. Obviously, sometimes you didn't have disruption, but you had to keep anyway, and they channeled you. Sometimes, their sideboard cards did matter. They played like Whirling Dervish and
just like season 10, it was just another like perfect storm of just like lack of disruption.
The saddest thing of all about this season, the absolutely most tragic thing, is that it's the only season we ever had Gush. And I made a just beautiful Gush deck that crushed everything in an avalanche of Treasure Cruise. It played like all the snapbacks and discard a card to get an extra effect type card you could, because it just always had, it was discarding to hand size all the time and just doing so much, countering everything. I played Quench, which is like mana leak for 2. And
there was no even good mana leaks or whatever.
And the deck was just insane. It was like insane. I only played 4 Fairy Vandal and 4 Memory Mystic. As the only ways I ever killed people were with those 8 threats. But you drew your whole deck every game. It was absolutely beautiful, and it could not beat Channel to save its life. It could be anything else. It could not beat Channel.
This was like the lowest.
This absolutely tragic. And if you sided in like 4 1-mana counter spells that counter a sorcery, they would just Rothlos you, and you would be like, well, shit.
And
it was a big tragedy for me.
That honestly is like when you want to look at good combo decks, it's like that's good. They have like different strategies, and they just happen to be the most dominant. Like either like Rafello's ramping or just channeling. Like both strategies were good, and they could just do either at once.
Yeah, the channel deck was just,
Yeah,
there
it
being like
really.
no duress, no real interaction. I was playing like Turbulent Dreams, so I could discard 3 cards to bounce all the Eldrazi that they made on turn 2 if I was lucky,
Yeah,
And that, and then they still had them all and the ability to make them all again, possibly if they had Rothlos. And yuck.
and it really
Yeah,
tanked. It really tanked.
second
Like
worst season, and yeah, it it
it
it,
really
it,
tanked
it
tournaments in
turned
league. It was
everybody off, and
really bad.
not a good season.
All right, 15. Now we move to 15. I think 15's the last time we did 1 cent, right?
But yeah, 15 was this weird thing happened during season 14. The
Pioneer. Oh,
prices
this is
of
the
like
Pioneer season. So
yeah, so
this
Pioneer was announced. Cards that could be good in Pioneer jumped up to like $2. So like the mono black aggro deck had Blood Soaked Champion and Scrap Heap Scrounger in it, and they cost like $1 each at the end of the season or more. So it was like the first $20 first and only $10-15 PD deck. I'm certainly the first one to do it without the lands being the expensive thing. And then after that happened, all cards legal in Pioneer seemed to go up above 1 cent. And then a bunch of cards that were not legal in Pioneer started to go up above 1 cent. And so by the time we got to season 15, the format literally halved in size. We had, let me give you the actual numbers. In season 14, we had 12,351 legal cards, and in season 15 we had 5,704. So we lost more than half the format, and what is more, like mostly like the good half of the format, right? Things that conceivably could be good in Pioneer, plus random other cards for whatever strange reason in their hundreds and even thousands. So we got this weird format where I'm sad to say it because it's true and I don't like it. Guildgate Control was the best deck, which compared to all these other seasons, we're talking about these unstoppable turn 4 Tempered Steel decks that don't even care about getting wrathed, and turn 2 Cephalid Illusionist kills. Guildgate Control with its, fairly decent turn 4 sweeper and ability to slowly draw cards with an enchantment it's a real come down from the
It
power
was
level of some of
yeah,
these.
it was a
I think it was sort of
weird.
vaguely enjoyable.
So I enjoyed the
Some
season.
people loved it.
I
Some
I
people loved it.
I enjoyed it a lot because I like beating the Gates decks. Because I was just playing these like ridiculous like blue X decks, which I because I played this is when I played the Is Drake's decks like a lot, and I finally
Oh yeah,
won.
you were playing
And I
until you won a tournament. You kept losing finals and things.
right, I was just grinding a lot. It was for me it was a lot of fun on stream, technically just to kind of grind these decks. The Gates decks were really good. There was like Mono Black Devotion as well. It was actually like weirdly refreshing to see different types of decks, but you could tell that like um I think if we like
Yeah,
Pioneer the fact that like
toward,
Pioneer just showed up like kind of messing up everything, you could like we started seeing the writing on the walls like this could just be like forever. Like this could be like something that recurs over and over because like Baker was saying like the card the number of cards we had like cut in half, and this was like the result of it. We got these some interesting decks. Like we made a format out of it. There's definitely like there's aggro decks, mid range decks, control decks. Not a ton of combo. There was food decks as well.
Sam
The
is
junk
saying
food.
that Is It Control is a big player. There were 6 times as many Guildgate Control decks as Is It Control decks in this
Right.
season. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a player. It definitely was, for sure. It won 2 tournaments, but Guildgate Control won 10 tournaments, which is the highest number of control decks ever won in a Penny Dreadful season. I don't doubt it.
What?
But it was not, Food was very heavily played. Mono Black mid range, like Devotion. This was
Yeah.
the first time we had the
Um,
good Mono
Gray
Black Devotion
Merchant.
card. That's what
Yeah,
the name
Gray
was.
Merchant was first
Yeah.
time.
Red Deck Wins was yet again fine / good. People played Is It Tempo and Is
Oh,
It
you played the
Control.
Reclamation deck. You played Team of
So
Reclamation.
towards the end of the season, I discovered that I always thought like 3-color and PD, no way. And this wasn't a good mana season. Obviously, people were playing Guild Gates. And towards the end of the season, I discovered Teemo Rec, and I just couldn't lose to anything except Gates. and it was incredibly good. I wish I'd discovered it early in the season. I won a couple of tournaments with it. And then towards the end of the season, someone, can't think who, someone young on the Discord told me I should play Quiet Contemplation to beat Gates, because Gates just kills you with either the big 8/8 that can't die or a big ram, right? And so I was beating big creatures generally by force fielding with the non-Bitter Blossom Improbable Alliance. But of course, the trampling ram gets through that and only costs 3, so it's hard to always have a counter ready for it, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, put 1 or 2 Quiet Contemplations in deck and then couldn't lose to Gates either. And then the season ended on me in this position of like, well, I'm absolutely certain my matchup against every deck is good. But then I could play it no more. But it was stonking. So that's a weird one for me, and I kind of hated it because I was losing to Gates a bunch and thinking, why am I losing to Gates?
Yeah, I mean, your brain can't your brain can't comprehend like, wait, this deck played like 16 tap lands. How am I just like getting crushed? It really was because of like Guild Summit.
It's 3 mana sweep. It can only play on turn 4.
Yeah, and it's
anyway.
I mean, it was really Guild Summit.
I had an 80.5% win rate with Wilderness Reclamation, and I'm sure if the season had gone on, I could have maybe not kept it up quite that high. But anyway,
so season 16 was when we started 2 cents, right?
So we're all the way through 15. We were checking what's 16 going to look like. What's 16 going to look like? And it looked dire. We were going to lose like 1,000 cards and like get 4 new ones. Right? It's like
really if you like Guildgate, season 16 1 cent would have been amazing.
Gates was going to lose nothing. Every other deck was going to lose something. No interesting cards were going to come in. And we just thought, look, let's think of it. We talked over and over again about what the possible options were. And then we went for it, and we went for 2 cents. And I think it was a really good idea. Of course, you can never really take the path untraveled, but it was bold for sure. And it puts us into an interesting, sort of, there's some negatives to it for sure. But, it was a really heavily played season, finally getting back to kind of numbers before, like, closer to season 9 numbers. So we recovered from Tempered Steel and Channel to some extent. I'm not sure when COVID started. Is
not
this
yet.
the first season with COVID, or is it next
No,
one?
not yet. Yeah, honestly, like, it was a gigantic debate. I think I was the last person to say no. I was gonna write it out, but then like all the data started showing up. I was like one of the few people who was like, no.
It wasn't so much that we were going to be smaller. There was differing opinions about whether that mattered in the chat, and it wasn't so much that we were going to lose all the Sylvan libraries and all that kind of stuff. There was different opinions about that amongst the mods. What it was that we were going to only lose cards, and I think that's what
said. I agree. Like once you guys like told me about it, it's like, once like good data started like appearing, and there was like, I guess real numbers. Everything was just like speculation, and then like actual facts started coming out. It's like, wait, this is really bad. So like pushing to 2 cents was like not a decision that came lightly at all.
Anyway, the format that it gave us was dominated by a deck in which every single card cost 1 cent and would have been legal. Probably, I think. And that is Aggro Slide.
Yeah, I think
creation. Turned up for the first tournament of the season, won a tournament with it, 60% win rate, won the PD5, first ever PD 500. Wait, no, that's next season.
Oh, well, I think thinking about Aggro Slide is that like, and this started actually the season before in 15, where in the seasons past, you weren't really like, decks were like, new decks happened, but really it was like old cards that sort of like made a new format, like
this
like
was
in like season 13
standard deck with 4 Lightning Rift,
right? Season 15 they started doing gate stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken, like that was like a gates, like Guild of Ravnica was like a gate based standard season, like a gate based standard set. I'm talking about 15. I'm talking about 15. I'm just like looping this back. So you had a Guild Gate deck because of like you had gate support from that standard set. So now we shift to 2 cents, and then the new standard set is Ikoria, I believe. And then and now we have all these like new standard cards because we've shifted we shifted the model from 1 cent to 2 cents, and then started reading all these like new standard cards that are coming out. I think this is the time we actually like shifted to supplemental. I don't know when we got rid of that, but the aggro
When
slide,
we went to
yeah,
2 cents, yeah. So there's no supplemental from 16 onwards. We just
right.
went to rotating a week later instead because we figured we would get basically all the commons and uncommons from the new set either way.
We never really
So we
talked about
were
the
wasting time.
supplemental. We never really talked about the supplemental stuff because that really wasn't never a
I don't
thing.
know if it matters really. We used to add the
Yeah.
old, within new cards 3 weeks later to make sure the price is settled and we didn't accidentally include a rare that was going to be a standard chase rare, but everyone was sleeping on it at the beginning. But it turned out it didn't happen that much. And
Yeah,
we
people
were
wanted to play with new
worrying
cards,
about
and
nothing.
we were always a set behind.
The other thing in season 16 that wasn't aggro slide was Recurring Nightmare was legal again, and there was a really good Yosei junk Recurring Nightmare. You know, plays like a value Abzani deck, but then every once in a while just like starts looping Yoseis with Recurring Nightmare, and your opponent just never untaps again, and you win the game. And I suppose you probably also played Yosei Vat as well, did you, this season?
This honestly,
Yeah,
I didn't.
a little
No.
bit, but not much.
Well, a little, but like it wasn't that good. I was
So
playing.
this season was really like dominated by Red Deck wins, 17 wins, Recurring Nightmare 7 wins, Storm 6 wins,
I played all sorts of decks.
Aggro
Wow.
Slide 9 wins. I mean, it's pretty interesting to think about how much we feared Aggro Slide and how good it was, and like it won 9 tournaments. Channel won 31. 9 tournaments is okay. 31 is not okay. That's the,
I mean, people. I
that's the
mean,
message.
I think that the numbers between like 14 and 16 were probably way different. I don't know if like people remembered the craziness that was 14 versus the people that were in 16. Um, it's
Yeah, I mean, there was distinctly more people playing season 16. We didn't quite break season 9's record yet, but we're about to.
but yeah, I mean, it did open up the format a bit. Like it said, there's recurring nightmares, storm, control. I guess there's like goblins decks. Like
Was this the season we had Lackey?
no, like there's 5. No, I think it was just like a go wide goblins list. Let me look.
Oh, this was the season we had the cards from MH1.
Right. So
So there was Soul Herder probably. Is that this season?
no, Sling Game
There was
was
a
in
Soul,
it.
and then there was in Goblins there was a bunch of like Pashalik Mons,
Yeah.
Slingang Lieutenant type cards that push Goblins up, quite a bit. People played Ponza because people always play Ponza.
Yeah,
There was a Hive Mind combo deck that we had the White Pact and the Red Pact and Hive Mind. That was played a fair bit. It was pretty good actually.
Yeah, I mean, like I think like season like the 2 cent shift was like tough to like swallow, but in the end, it did produce a lot of different new archetypes and like bolstered old archetypes. Like we said, recurring nightmare. It made a very new deck.
I think the Dragon Nightmares we called it and Aggro Slide were the like 2 best decks, and there wasn't a lot of doubt about that. I don't know which one won in the matchup between those two. Probably pretty even. I'll have a quick look. But yeah, that was the 51% to Dragon Nightmare. So
Okay, but yeah, 2 cents was like the biggest thing, and still continues.
I mean, this is the only time we've had Recurring Nightmare and You're Saying at the same time, I think. So that it was kind of a new take on Recurring Nightmare, even though we'd had Recurring Nightmare before. It had been kind of more of a value. Didn't have quite the same lock the game aspect as it did this time.
God. Okay, so 17 is. Oh, this is High Tide. This is the High Tide season.
The return of Aggro Slide, and the only deck that can beat it, High Tide, plus the timer has stopped counting, says Viking.
Yeah, I know. It just does that. I have to refresh it every now and then. I'm doing a lot of clicking and typing, but thank you for letting me know. But yeah.
Yeah, so 17, yeah, I mean, pretty much this was almost a pincer movement, like.
Oh, there's a lot of things to talk about 17. Actually, there's a lot of different things to talk about. High. So okay, yeah. Talk about High.
This was COVID, and also maybe Caleb Gannon made videos. Or was that last season? And so this was the biggest ever season. This season broke every record apart from season length. Most legal, or not most legal cards either, but the most cards played, the most people, like doubled in size basically, people and league decks wise. Yeah, and High Tide was great, but could not win before turn 4. So if you wanted to beat it with Red Deck wins, you generally could.
So we'll just call it High Tide plus
Aggro Slide.
Nuke. I don't know. I don't know how to.
We had the first
There's
PD
a lot of different
500,
things to
and
talk about. Yeah, there's a lot of different
yeah,
things to talk about
Caleb
this
played high
season.
tide. So Caleb is part of why we doubled in size, maybe the biggest part. COVID is also part of why we doubled in size.
Um,
But it was definitely aggro slide plus
like
high
in terms of
tide. There was
yeah,
also good zombies, good red deck wins, Monobu tempo,
we'll just call it the Caleb,
um,
the Caleb COVID
Naya
effect.
Twin being championed by Crazy Bayless in the chat. Mono White Heroic was good again for the first time in a while.
Well, I mean, really, there's a lot of different takeaways. One, the introduction of the PD 500 like really made like tournaments count way more than ever because it's the first time we had such a gigantic like prize pool, so it brought a lot of people. Two, yeah,
Yeah,
COVID.
it was awesome.
I think the most defining thing is probably like the Caleb slash COVID effect. Like COVID, like
Yeah.
breaks out, comes to
Yeah, it's
America,
definitely
breaks out
exciting
all
for
over the
your
world.
format that you love to double in size
Yeah,
over like a month.
people have to stay indoors, so I'll just like start writing. I'll talk about COVID first. COVID outbreak. Like basically, you have to stay inside with COVID. So what a better thing to do is play cheap Magic, right? Um, to what's the word I want to use? Stay at home, bringing new people back in. But yeah, like, and the other effect is the Caleb effect, where we really like throughout the history of Pan Trouble, we really never got a really big like content creator to make stuff. We've had articles on like Star City Games. Not that they weren't like super big then, but like they had their small fongs. We tried with MTG Goldfish. Some people like wanted to dabble into it, but it never really like fleshed out. And then all of a sudden, this guy who I never heard of before this, Caleb Gannon,
I had second or third most famous Caleb in Magic.
like he makes one PD
Makes really
video.
good videos.
He makes a PD video which like sparks like a ton of growth.
People turning up to play High Tide.
Yeah,
I mean, his thing is
like,
that he plays like complicated, funny decks.
right. So like, I mean, and this is the first time we really had like, I don't know of a tier list of like content creators, but this is the first time someone big did something with the format, and it really helped out like a lot. So the season, like, which is, can you say numbers about the season, about numbers wise, like people?
Yeah, so we had this is 16, right? 17. We
Yeah.
had 1,200 people compared to like 600-ish the season before, and compared to our high watermark of like 700 in season 9. So it was like a whole new level. Over 10,000 league decks, and that was over 84 days, which is a fairly short season. Like just more people, more cards getting played, more archetypes than ever. More league decks, more matches, over 20,000 matches. Like, it was a step up. I mean, we'd seen PD grow. Like, if you were in season 1 and then 2 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6, that was all growth, like incremental growth. But doubling in size
But it's like
from close to the high watermark already was nice.
yeah,
PD 500 was
we were not doing well from like 14 on. It was not looking good, really.
I mean, channel season was bad. I mean, we were recovering, right? Channel season dropped us down to like 400 people, and then we made our way back up to 640 before Caleb, but now we're at 1,300.
But the thing is that like I think like Pioneer also kind of messed us up. Not even with the pricing for it, but just like, oh, something new to do. Let's play Pioneer. You know what I mean?
The only thing about Pioneer was it did make people think that MTGO wasn't going to die, which like made them play MTGO again. But maybe probably not Penny Dreadful.
But yeah, the PD 500 was huge.
Some halo effect.
I think the PD 500 was also really huge at the same time. I think it was like a weird coincide. We didn't just like Can you go into how the PD 500 even started? Because it wasn't even your idea.
If I can remember.
Well, it wasn't like, from what I understand the story is that like Carter approached you about wanting to do something big.
Yeah, Nathaniel mentioned.
Nathaniel is the card order like representative.
Yeah, he's my guy. If Nathaniel dies, I won't even know who to talk to. I only ever talk to Nathaniel. He's awesome, and he's just like if ever your prizes are late, it's not because Nathaniel is being lazy. It's because I haven't sent him the email yet. He always just adds them immediately. He's awesome. What did he say? Basically, I was introducing him to Tom Davis, who you might remember did some commentary of tournaments, and Tom Davis wanted to maybe use the Card Hoarder channel to support Card Hoarder, but also get a bigger audience kind of thing. Although I don't think the Card Hoarder Twitch channel really does that much. But anyway, these were some ideas that Tom Davis, who is a student with designs on being a professional commentator of some kind for either motorsport or whatever, esports, and he was kind of interested. So for whatever reason, he replied to my intro there, saying, I love the idea of commentary for PD and promoting it any way we can, and then in parentheses, including maybe some bigger stakes events, Tom, ? So I was like, whoa, ding, ding, ding. So
yeah, because we never ask for more than we need. We're very grateful for Card Hoarder.
We asked for what? We asked for a tournament, then we asked for another tournament, then we asked, we've been doing this one out of our own pocket. Will you take it over about FNM? And they said yes. So that incrementally, we have asked for quite a few things.
Yeah, we never overstepped our bounds this much.
But yeah, we try to be very careful. Obviously, but look, between PD bot, Card Hoarders credit, and a couple of other things, those are the real linchpins of what makes the format tick. So we definitely don't ever want to sour that relationship. I mean, they are incredibly awesome to us, and don't even seem to care if we actually advertise them or not. They're just this is just our way of giving back to the format, blah blah. But yeah, I mean, I certainly kind of felt him out in a very careful way. A bigger stakes tournament does sound good. Not mentioning any numbers in that classic negotiating tactic kind of way. And he kind of had to check in with me, how much do we actually currently pay, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I hope if I give him these numbers, he doesn't, think that's too much already. But I mean, he just, after a couple of back and forths about when it should be and that kind of thing, he just said, I was thinking something in the neighborhood of 500 credit per event, just without really being prompted to say anything like that. I was like,
yeah, it's so funny how this all
my next sentence to him has a smiley face, an exclamation point, and the word awesome in capital letters. So you can see that I leapt on it.
It was really funny how we didn't even plan on doing this, and then it just happened. So yeah, we just scrambled to do something good, and it also started the kickoff tournament for the season after.
It was great. I mean, Nathaniel's idea, I think, was to put more of the money into the kickoff and have it be an intro to the format and everything. And I tried to convince him people already love the beginning of the format, and something actually competitive on the end of the format to keep interest in the format and promote people playing the tournaments all season and everything would actually be better. Anyway, and he ended up kind of giving us even more money to do the kickoff event as well, so that we could have our cake and eat it too. So we ended up getting 679 ticks of credits per quarter that we hadn't asked for, and kind of descended from heaven in a glorious way. So
yeah,
it was well worth.
It's a really good mix of a lot of different things that really just exploded the format to where we're kind of now, honestly.
Yeah. And then the first PD 500 was obviously a tragedy because it was won by the menace of AgroSlide. But the second PD 500, which we'll talk about in season 18,
I don't know how to.
Whole other story.
I know. I don't know how to frame 18 either, because I mean, this is now we're back to where we are right now.
I always think about these seasons in terms of cards.
This is the Brainstorm Ponder. Yeah, this is the really.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Brainstorm, Ponder, Gitaxian Probe, all being in together, just being this completely unprecedented. I mean, I have played Whispers of the Muse so many freaking times. It's very dreadful, and that is not a good card. I've played Cycles for Blue as that's all the card does.
But really, you can't deny the fact that Affinity was also pretty great.
Well, Cruz has been in a million times, Sam 00109, but it's never really that good because we don't have fetch lands and we don't have good cantrips. So you often end up spending 4 mana for it. Or the second one is completely dead or whatever. And this season, we had real Treasure Cruise, right?
Oh,
Gitaxian Probe you.
Oh, you're talking about someone in chat. I was talking about cranial plating. Yeah, I
But
think the season is really defined by
yeah,
like
we had
brainstorm
Affinity.
ponder, but
So
like
yeah, this was a really powerful season, like a really powerful season. Probably more powerful than season 9.
this is
I'm not
probably the
sure
most
about
powerful
that.
season since like
Like
honestly
season
since
9, you could
Channel.
demonic consultation for anything you wanted, but one of the best things to do was to aristocrats combo. Like season 18, you could cantrip for anything you want, and you could do things like World Gorge Dragon people on turn 2. So I think this is actually the most powerful season we ever had. It's also the best mana season we already had, and those two things are not unrelated. We had Filter Lands, and we had Brainstorm, we had Ponder, we had Delver, we had a bunch of things for the first time, and the return of him for the first time in a long time. When was the previous time we had him? 4? Season 4? So,
Well, before that, I
most
have
of the
no
people playing
idea.
now
It's been
had
a
never played with
while.
him.
It was a while.
So yeah, I think it was season 4. So, yeah, this has been honestly an amazing season. Had the perfect story for the PD 500, and literally Penny Dreadful's biggest streamer / only streamer loses round 1 and then gets 10 wins on the bounce with his brew
Yeah,
to
this
win the
isn't
whole
like
thing, beating
this,
Agroslide twice in the top 8. I mean, it's just we couldn't
yeah.
have written it better.
I don't have an amazing story about this format or this season because like I had to like I had to take care of some family business, so I
This
was
is one of
away.
your least
Yeah, I was
performed in
really
seasons,
I was
but
honestly
you
away
made up for
for
it on the end.
right. I was away from the format for like because I had made like no content because I was just taking care of my mother uh back in our hometown, so I had a lot of things to do on my own, so there was no time for like fun. I for like a month and a half I had no time for fun, so
Yeah.
I really just like kind of and gave up everything. Also, like for my own story, the COVID effect is hitting me in my own way, where like I lost my job, so I literally had like nothing to do. So because of that, I decided to just like go home and like also take care of my mother who were going through her own things. So like I'm just away from like everything, my hobbies. I'm not nothing's going on. And I kind of come back and I'm just kind of like feeling my way back into the format a little bit, and then I randomly won a tournament. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like,
It was great. It was great. I watched the VOD back. It was great.
yeah,
The only thing I did this season of any interest, really, well, I made a completely straightforward Izzet aggro deck that was good, and I did the Jerry Thompson thing of taking 2 combo decks in the same colors and mashing them together, and I put Mindcrank combo into World Gorge Dragon. But I think Merpady kind of did better with his just all-in reanimator version of World Gorge Dragon anyway, where you reanimate the demon and then go get whatever you need to do the dragon thing. So I don't even know if my mashup was like successful exactly, but I had fun. I won a lot.
yeah. I mean,
like 80% win with Izzet and like 78 or something with the dragon, and the dragon deck was definitely better for what it's worth.
yeah.
Also, I think this season was really interesting because we had a totally new, like only and ever in PD archetype in Heart of Darkness, kind of to go with our cruel Living Law decks and our Devastating Dream decks and all these other things. Like no one's ever played Infernal Darkness outside of casual games, in earnest, and like Honor Bound crushed with it. It's like one of the most winningest archetypes in PD history. It's like 63% win or something. So that's really cool. And there were just a lot of powerful cards and a lot of powerful decks, and
yeah. I think we're realizing that
depressing thing.
I think this season we really realized that we really did good or did well with the 2 cent change. This like is like the payoff somehow because we're getting a lot of like powerful effects. It feels
mana alone makes it seem worth that we went to 2 cents, right? Like the only like I used to say in like seasons 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like I love this format. It's amazing. Like the side effect of radical cheapness, where you can just buy your opponent's deck and play it 3 times to figure out how to beat it or whatever. Like that kind of side effects of everything being cheap. Not just that it is cheap, but that it has these side effects that are so good. But I wish we had some decent lands, and I don't know how many times I said that. Like Ash Barrens, anything, come on, anything but Evolving Wilds, and like here we are. We've had maybe 3 or 4 seasons with goodish mana, and the best one is this season, and the next one is going to be even better. Only blue black gets worse. Every other color pair gets better. Plus, we've got Astrolabe possibly forever now. So maybe next season will be 5 color snow. Maybe this season will be 5 color snow off just 2, the red and the white lands. But
I mean, that's the next season to come. We're not even there yet. We're trying to like talk about what we are now. But yeah,
a lot happened in 18. Good. There was a ton of like discussion. Like Zur's Weirding was played and was good somehow. And
I actually really like the
a little bit about this on our thing that's going up on YouTube if it ever finishes uploading.
Yeah.
Where are we at with that?
20%
into the 5th of 5.
So I think we've thoroughly gone over every season, so now we have to rank them somehow.
Okay.
I don't know how.
Let's say good, bad, or middle to each one first.
Okay.
Right? So the grand opening is good, obviously.
Let me figure out something. I gotta figure out a way to like. Okay, I think we just
write something in the column C or column D.
I have an idea. Okay, so
folks, this is a live Excel tutorial with JMecha.
Well, now I want to like. It's gonna be weird when I write like rank.
Wherever you want.
Okay, I guess I could. Let me just make it different.
There are many things you can do.
Okay, so hold on.
You've inserted a column. That's good.
I'm not gonna insert a column.
No, JMecha is gonna put the seasons where his total brew.
No, I'm just gonna like So now we're just gonna order everything in terms of rank.
Can we just say good? But no, don't lose the descriptions from.
No, it's up here. It's just up here. It's just up here.
Oh,
this is just the title
separately.
Okay, so
can we just do like good, bad, or indifferent to each one to get them into like broad buckets? Now we're going to do a complete stack rank Viking of Mars. Tier lists are for cowards.
Yeah, I don't want to do tier lists. It's another thing I have to open.
Good, bad, or indifferent?
Okay, I mean, so season 1 was good.
Definitely good. Season 2 is definitely good.
Yeah, I like season 1 and 2. Like,
come on, the tournaments. Like, I was waking up in the morning, really excited to see what won while I was asleep, and like getting onto PDM, getting PDBot into existence. It was great.
Like, this is just like when you get in a new relationship, like season 1 and 2 is just like that. It's like everything is fun, everything is new, everything is fun.
Yeah,
and like you just can't wait to like for the next day.
I would never jam Rox Warmonk and Penny Dreadful anymore, but it was fun to do it then.
Honestly, season 3 for me is good. Like,
I want to say bad.
Okay, I have an idea. I have an idea.
I know
you
enjoyed Mind's Desire, but Mind's Desire off Dark Ritual is actually quite hard to cast.
Okay, I have an idea. We're going to do an opinionated ranking. So, like, I'll be me here. And we could, like, disagree. And...
Okay, okay. Then I'm so
good, good. Good. Actually, despite me winning my first tournament, I thought the season was just okay. Because, like, Red Deck was, like, not fun to play against. It was very stressful. I like Mind's Desire Storm a lot, but it was just okay. What do you think?
I'm saying bad for season 3. I think it was actively bad. Like the amount of moaning there was, the drop in player size for the first time, like not good. Bad.
Yeah. I don't know. People will complain. I'm not a giant complainer. I didn't think because I actually towards the end of the season I did end up playing I think I played blue. Wait, what is season 3? No, that was season 2.
You played Storm. You played
I mostly played Storm. Then I played Mono Blue Morph.
Of yesterday's.
No, then I played Mono Blue Morph with the Pickles thing, and then I just lost the red deck. But I just fell in love with the deck. And that was the thing. I was still building new decks, but I was still losing the red deck. So it was I thought it was just okay, not terrible, but I'm not a big complainer, I guess. 4 is heroic.
4 for me is great. I just had so much fun, losing and winning finals against Littlefield.
Again, I think it's okay. It's just the rise of aggro strategies being probably just the best.
We had Recurring Nightmare. We had Heroic being good for the first time, rather than Red Deck Wins being the best aggro deck. Definitely good for me.
All right, Necro. Necro, I thought it was actually good, despite the
Necro is just extremely fun. Necro is just extremely fun.
Some people don't like.
Some people hate getting persecuted and having their entire hand except for 2 swamps discarded on turn 1.
I actually misclicked. Oh, God. I actually misclicked the persecute red because I Dark Ritual persecuted, and I was going to click red and I clicked black and I just completely lost. It was actually ridiculous.
Uh,
But no, I
that's
mean
bad.
like I really like not the super high power seasons, but like when you feel like a real format and like this is something crazy going on. Obviously, Necro like kind of
Yeah,
dominated the
it was
format, but
incredibly fun. You know, it was the most
yeah,
powerful deck we'd had so far, probably by far. And there was multiple approaches. That was what was really important. It wasn't one deck, right? If you
yeah,
were playing the Mirror, you could be playing against Precursor Golem or Scourge Familiar or Approach of the Second Sun, or it was awesome.
yeah. There was a lot of different looks at Necro, and that was the cool part. All right, six. Obviously, I'm gonna say good. I really like stretched my
I
deck building brain.
personally, I'm trying not to make these personal
You
because
can. No, that's the
um,
point. That's why we're splitting them
yeah,
because we're not gonna agree.
we definitely can, but I think like for Penny Dreadful, this season was Cat Wave was really fun, but it was also very powerful. I'm going to say okay,
Yeah.
but it's close to good. It's much closer to good than bad.
All right, seven. Seven, I thought was just okay. I liked having a rival in Ribbons, even though it just beat me every time. But it was fun to
it's not
see.
it's not a
It
rivalry.
well, yeah,
Uh,
it's not a rivalry when someone beats you, like beats the break. I mean, I went 2-3 against him this season, but he was just dominating everything. It was just kind of like okay
yeah,
to see. It was like the decks were fine, but it was just like, man, this guy's really
I'm not.
good.
I'm not interested in zombies, and there wasn't too much too new here. I don't think so. I don't. I think I'm going to give bad to seven. Maybe a
Ooh,
bit
the
harsh. I
bad.
don't think at the time I would have given it bad,
Yeah. Let me just
but in
zoom out.
retrospect, just a bunch of zombies and red deck wins, and nothing I did seemed to work. So I'm going
Yeah.
to say bad.
I mean, this probably might be one of my few bads, but I didn't like season 8 at all. I thought it was really bad. I thought it was just like a lot of decks were like super mid rangey. Wasn't like
It's
anything I really
very easy to be
particularly liked.
critical of season 8, but I have to give it an okay because of
Yeah.
Devastating Dreams.
Yeah, I mean there were good decks. I'm not gonna like completely crap on
There was
this
one
season.
good deck. There was
Yeah.
one fun deck,
But
but
I
it was
just
mine.
cannot get behind like Sultai Emerge or like
Yeah,
whatever was
it was a
happening.
bit mid rangey. Like when the
Yeah.
three color decks with bad mana are playable, then it means nothing very exciting is going on.
Wait, I have to relook at season 9 because now it's all okay, new okay. Oh yeah, season for me
Season
this was
9 was the one
good.
with all the broken cards and demonic consultation. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. This was the
Or
high watermark for a long time.
yeah, this is like we're pushing things to like the limits of
Yeah,
like what Page Travel could
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And then it just gets really terrible with season 10. I'm
yeah.
already gonna put you as bad for season 10. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
disagree with this
I mean,
because it was
season 10 was just
so
dreadful. Like I'm not one of the moaners as a general rule, but
yeah, it
I was
was
I was actively depressed about the state of Penny Dreadful by the end of season 10.
it was just
It's like
miserable. People
I
were
just think of Electrostatic Bolt in my main deck, and I just want to hang myself.
it just sucks when people don't have fun. And like in the end you want to
Yeah,
see people have fun and it just was not like
yeah,
fun for a
yeah.
lot of people. Except the ones that were
I
winning, of
like
course.
playing Tempest Steel wasn't fun, and even there was some play to the Cephalid Breakfast deck when it didn't just instantly kill you, but it instantly killed you quite a lot, which wasn't very fun.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. Definitely a bad one for me.
11.
I think
What
11
should I
was
look at
too like generic
11s?
PD. There wasn't anything
It was
stand out
okay.
about it. I played like Demir mid range and Peregrine Drake
Yeah.
combo. Peregrine Drake combo was fun with displays, but it wasn't that strong. I don't really know how I won two tournaments with it.
Anything compared to 10 was good. So what do you want? Good,
This
bad,
is
or
on the
okay?
bad side of okay. I think I'm gonna go with okay.
Okay. Like anything was better coming off of season 10, honestly. So I wasn't gonna
Yes,
ask for
it gets
much.
some relief
I wasn't
from
gonna
the fact
ask
there was
for anything.
more than two
Yeah.
viable decks.
I just want to please give me some answers. Please let's just go back to whatever. 12.
That was
Okay.
pretty fun. Metalwork, Colossus, Upheaval, and a bunch of the usuals.
You
Abzan
like
mid range. I think it's just a bit okay, really.
yeah,
Maybe
I'm
even
on
bad, just because it
I'm on
wasn't
the
very remarkable.
yeah, I'm on the okay stream or train for a while just because
Yeah,
like I said
I think I'm going to go back and make my seven an okay. Like Penny bog standard Penny Dreadful is good, right? Like there's nothing bad about a bog standard Penny Dreadful. Like it's awesome when we get seven power cards, but change my season seven to an okay because
I
it's
did.
unfair.
But yeah,
Oh,
like
sorry, I'm looking at a
12
stream, not the screen share. On
yeah,
behind.
12 is not super bad. It's not super great. Decks were fun. I think I had an okay time, but that's pretty much it. It's like you're just starting to see like the cyclical nature of Penny Dreadful, especially with the 1 cent rotations, where things were like coming in, coming out. So like we had some new decks, but mostly just the same.
13, I didn't play very much. I did absolutely dominate somehow with, of all things, Selesnya Value Town, the early season. But I didn't play very much of season 8.
Do you not have an opinion?
13 at all. I'm just gonna say it's okay.
Yeah.
Like Zombies was there, and like Devastating Dreams came back, but it wasn't as good because we had better counter spells and people were playing them. Yeah, you don't want to get memory lapsed on your Devastating Dreams. That's not a good time.
Channel's like the worst season.
Obviously, Channel. The thing is, I played so much of this season because I played
You wanted
so
to beat
much
it.
Gush.
Because you wanted to beat it.
I reread Stephen Menendian's 200 and something page book on Gush and made an absolutely beautiful deck that could beat literally anything apart from a totally broken turn 2 combo deck with excellent backup plan. And sadly, that's what we had in the meta. So I really wanted to dominate with Quench, but I did not.
It's just not fun when like a deck is just this good and there's very little counterplay.
31 tournaments. That's just all you have to say. Nothing should ever win 31 tournaments in a season.
Like, and this is the only time where like, I mean, I wasn't on that train, but a lot of people were on the like ban channel train, and I think this is something we really didn't mention. But a lot of people
probably more ban chat than any other season.
Yeah, and like
for him in season 4, there was a bunch for Shrine in season 3, but yeah.
And for the first time, like it was almost like justified. But I was glad we stuck it out, honestly.
Well, once BC found Mono Black Aggro, which admittedly was only a few weeks before the end, there was you know, I wish he'd found that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Someone's Bad's another good.
At the very least, I could have, you know, beaten 3 channel decks in the top 8 a few times.
I think season 15 was honestly not good, even though I had like success, but it was.
I really enjoyed the Team Erect deck, you know, the one-of Hunting Pack and other weird shit, and playing Growth Spiral and Team Reclamation, Wilderness Reclamation is a good time. But I think it's just okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
The power level was a bit too low. Guildgate Control being the most played
bad, honestly. I don't. It's like not even like a lukewarm.
I can see it as bad. I can see it as bad. Personally, I made a couple of decks that I actually really liked, and it just kind of nudges it into okay for me. But it's on the bad end of okay for sure.
Yeah, I'm like in the middle. I think it was okay because I did win. I did win a bit because I got to like exploit the meta in my own way. But at the same time, it was like nothing. I didn't do anything like incredibly like mind blowing in my opinion. Like I played a bunch of blue counter spells or I don't know, forbidded out people, but it was it wasn't like, man, yeah, like a Guildgate control deck is just not like it's like
it's not
when you want to like when you want to
low power and fun. It's low power and unfun.
Imagine telling your like Magic friends you're trying to get him in the Penny Dreadful. It's like, so what is the hot decks? Like, okay, well you could play Guildgates. Like that doesn't sound exciting to me.
This season, I can tell Sam Black that most of his mono blue infect that got cards banned from Modern is legal. In that season, I could tell you that the Guildgate enchantment that lets you draw a card for each Guildgate you tap was the best card. That's just, or Gates Ablaze or the Ram were the best card. Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know. Personally, I really like the deck I found at the end, so it kind of nudges me into okay. But anyway,
okay. So...
Meanwhile, 2 Cent Shift gave us a High Tide combo deck, which gave us Caleb Gannon, and sadly Aggro Slide, but we were going to get that anyway at 1 cent.
No, that was 17. 17 was the High Tide deck.
16
was like just a shift, and that was the first time we saw Aggro Slide.
Oh, okay. What? So what?
I think it's
what did we?
No, because like basically, like I'm rereading what I wrote. Like we changed from 1 cent to 2 cent, and then Aggro Slide just kind of comes in, and then like it was Yosei Nightmare. It was Yosei Nightmare. No, that was.
Oh yeah, it was Aggro Slide and the Abzan with the Yosei Lock and recurring.
No wait. We've talked for so long. I don't know anymore. Hold on. Was it?
Well, I played a lot of Verols. I've played Verols in 3 different seasons now. This was the only season where it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, this was Dragon Nightmare. Yeah. Okay, Dragon Nightmare.
Yeah, I crushed with Verols on the end, which was really fun. I think this was a really good season. Like I did dislike Aggro Slide and its ability to cope with anything I tried to throw
Caleb,
at it. Lightning Rift was very good against Golgari,
yeah.
against Varolz. But
Like I was
I
glad
found
that we went to 2 cents, but I wasn't sure yet. And then just
really
losing
no.
to a deck that cycled was terrible. So I just thought it was okay.
Aggro Slide is depressing, but it wasn't really depressing until the second season.
Yeah.
When it stayed in and was still good and was in fact the best deck.
What do you think of
It was
17?
second in 17. So 17, that's really hard. Like High Tide, I felt pincered again between High Tide and Cycling. Like it seemed hard to beat both. And in fact, with my blue-red aggro control, I could crush everything, including like totally dominating red deck wins with my aggro control deck, which is my idea of a good time. But I couldn't really beat High Tide or Cycling, which made it not good. So this was almost a bad season for me. However,
Like personally
interest in the
bad,
format-
yeah.
interest in the format rose, and it's really hard to say.
Yeah,
I think I want to say bad.
I'm going with
I think I wanna say
okay.
that. Yeah.
Like I said, like I'm with you in the same kind of like could be bad, but probably it's just okay. I was fine with like I was really happy that everyone was playing or new people were we had so many eyes in the format. And that was awesome. But I really didn't have like a big, good handle in the format, I don't think, personally. It wasn't just, like anything that I could do really like
Yeah, this is the
that was
first time
great.
since season 10 where I ended the season thinking I do not know how to beat the good decks. The first time. Even in 14, I ended the season thinking, well, I've got mono black aggro and it crushes
Yeah.
channels, so don't care if it won 31 tournaments.
But I
But
was
this 10 and 17, I ended with like, I don't like my deck. I can't play my deck. I played mono red with Bolt Hound in the PD 500. That's how depressed I was about High Tide. And so yeah, that it was bad for me. And then this season was beautiful because it shows like 2 seasons of aggro slide being tier 1. Boom, it's an also ran. I mean, it didn't put 2 decks in the top 8 of the PD 500, but that's basically all it did.
So are you saying good season this season?
Oh, season 18 is the best season we've had, I think. It's 18 or 9. So obviously every 9 seasons. 18 or 9 or 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I personally love Brainstorm Ponder and I'm glad it kind of like made a lot of decks like Breakout, like World Gorger and
I think
like
it's really awesome
tempo
that we had it.
decks.
I also think it's really awesome that they've gone away and then they'll probably come back. And, like, that's exactly what PD thrives on. And, like, 2 cents is a risk we've taken in regards to that, in that it's harder to shift things out. But, season 27 is obviously going to be amazing, Ethan, yes.
Yeah. So if you had
No,
if you could pick one favorite season, what do you think would be out of everything we talked about?
I think it's 18, but I could believe that it's 9. I mean, Demonic Consultation for Witness the End is everybody's idea of a good time. Or Demonic Consultation for Cloud Post. I mean, we had decks in that season that are so pure PD, right? Demonic Consultation for Cloud Post exiling 3 Eternal Scourge. No one has done that in any format ever, in any way. It's not, Demonic Consultation for Planes kill you. I did that more than once, right? I just needed to cast my Vizier of Remedies. I didn't need anything else. How many is the right number of planes to play if you might exile 2/3 of your deck? So 9 was just great, and 18 was up there with like World Gorger Dragon or Traditional Reanimator or Storm was the best we've ever had it. There were aggro decks. Heroic made the top 8. There was a mid-range deck that was good. Him was there. Like it's really tough to pick between 9 and 18, although Demonic Consultation might win it for 9.
For me, I think like now we're getting to kind of like the personal, like your personal favorites. For me, it's between like it's probably 6 for me. I just loved Hypergenesis. I really love the evolution of me just building decks, and that was just a ton of fun to do.
If I'm telling the story of PD, 6 is definitely one of the highlights.
Yeah, 5
like, more so than like 4, which I really enjoyed, but
honestly, I really enjoyed 5 again for another. I mean, I built Swarm Intelligence.
5
was great, but 5 was like awesome in terms of like just variety. Like it's weird to have like a Negro deck feel like it's the best deck, but at the same time, you don't feel oppressed by it. And it was
I never felt oppressed by Necro.
Yeah, no. and it was just like
I didn't even try everything I wanted to try that season. Like I didn't get around to trying everything.
And it was like
yeah, five was like, oh my god! Like, not only do we get good aggro decks and
right, but
interesting
yeah,
things, we get like literally necrobones.
yeah. But for me,
with
honorable
eight ritual.
mentions. For me, honorable mentions to 18 and 9. Those were also really good seasons. And also
Really, really
2.
good.
Actually, I really like 2. No, not really. I didn't really like 2, but
16 was great.
yeah.
4 was great.
I think we nailed it.
The early seasons, it doesn't really make sense to rate in a way. Like, it was just finding our feet, right? There isn't even a meta to talk about from 1 and 2, right? Only from season 3 onwards can we say what the best decks were and what cards were good and blah blah blah. You know, one of the most successful cards in season 1 was Composite Golem. You know, it's in like a 5-0 and a 4-1.
I mean, Composite Golem with Nim Death Mantle is actually pretty insane.
For a long time, we thought there were 3 5-0s in season 1, but actually, I went back and one of the matches had been double reported, so it got erased from history. So there's only red deck wins, and is it red black or mono black? Sort of weird Composite Golem and other value cards going alongside a infinite mana combo for whatever reason.
That was fun. That was, I think,
Necro season did it. Wow.
I think that was great. I think we nailed it. I mean, this was a fun talk, and this is
you're not going to actually stack rank them. You're chickening out of the actual. No, that's fair enough. It's not that interesting to debate which of the generic seasons was slightly better than which of the other generic seasons. Okay,
like I mean, I could tier this up, but I think we did a good job of just kind of ranking them.
Yeah, no,
overall.
I agree.